I was going down from the mountain, just in awe at what just happened to me. And the voice comes. He says, "My son, go get our bike."
That's right. This guy is crying as he recounts Jesus telling him to go buy a new BMW motorcycle.
So come forth, step into your destiny now, saith the Lord.
Love the stick, right? That is a badass fucking stick.
I want to say this. If you're one of those and you're saying that the prophets are wrong and that you're right, would you do me a favor? Would you go on video and go on record? Put your hand on your Bible.
I'm on video and record. Okay, I'm down. Let's do this shit. I didn't own a Bible.
I was going down from the mountain, just in awe at what just happened to me. And the voice comes. He says, "My son, go get our bike."
That's right. This guy is crying as he recounts Jesus telling him to go buy a new BMW motorcycle.
So come forth, step into your destiny now, saith the Lord.
Love the stick, right? That is a badass fucking stick.
I want to say this. If you're one of those and you're saying that the prophets are wrong and that you're right, would you do me a favor? Would you go on video and go on record? Put your hand on your Bible.
I'm on video and record. Okay, I'm down. Let's do this shit. I didn't own a Bible. I had to buy one specially for this occasion.
Our president is legitimate, and his name is Donald Trump. I'm just going to say it.
Oh my God. Please. This is the cringiest shit ever. Chem Panda, is Kat Kerr wearing the Star Trek badge because she's a total space cadet? Oh my God, she is wearing some kind of a badge that looks like the Star Trek badge. Holy shit, dude, I didn't even notice. Her outfit is camouflage and says Commander Cat on it. No fucking joke.
I pray for this man. Lord, I pray you take the smell of smoke, the disappointment, the bitterness, the anger, the feeling of betrayal and loss. That it must be a terrible thing, Lord, to actually feel as though you've been stolen an election.
This guy is literally praying over a cardboard cutout of Donald Trump in January 2022, a year after the dude left office.
And I'm praying now also. I'm seeing something great happen with the fellow whose show is right before mine on Saturday, Steve Bannon. I see God doing a work in him. I want you guys to pray.
Nobody was beat on like that, like our president, for 4 years. Nobody.
Nobody? Not one person? I mean, have you read about 1940s Germany? Do you know anything about that?
And God only endorses what he legally sets up that we put our agreement to.
Okay, so this whole time I've been thinking that God could just snap his fingers and make Trump president just like that, but now I understand that God needed to come down to earth to campaign for Donald Trump if he wanted him to win. That's my mistake.
BLM is demons! And you tell them I said so.
Okay, I will. I don't think anybody in Black Lives Matter gives a shit if you think they're demons.
But I'm asking you, Lord. I'm asking. I just found a flag here. I didn't know.
Are you fucking kidding me? You're looking around at your stuff while you're saying a prayer. What is wrong with you? Get back to God. He's waiting. He had a golden fucking statue built of himself. A golden statue. How much more on the nose can it get? That is some weird shit. But saying something that's racist means you will most likely face social consequences for that. That's just what it is. I'm sorry, this is not funny. This is sad. This is really sad. Welcome to the show. Thank you guys for coming. How's it going? Going okay? I know it's been a rough few days for a lot of people with Roe v. Wade and everything, but I'm going to try to get your minds off of that because we got some pretty off-the-wall bonkers stuff to talk about. Hopefully it'll be entertaining And hopefully it will help you disconnect from all that. So give me a second to switch my headphones, because I usually prefer to use wired for this. Just a second here. Okay, there we go. Insert creative username here. Hello, guys, gals, and Lovecraftian horrors. Appreciate the super chat. Welcome. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Why don't I read my transitions, and we'll get into the first story. In this podcast, we're going to talk about Pastor Mark Burns getting indignant that we interpreted his comments about the LGBT community accurately. He said he wants the death penalty, and now he seems to be reversing his position. Senate candidate Eric Greitens releasing a disturbing campaign ad where he encourages people to go rhino hunting. Pastor Robin Bullock refusing to give up on the idea that he was right. Trump was definitely ordained by God to be president in 2020. Lauren Boebert holding a campaign event at a church. We also take voicemails. If you want to leave a voicemail, the number is 1-800-701-8573. If you want to send an email instead, the email address is telltalemailbag@gmail.com. All right, let me read them one more time for transition purposes. Next, we're going to talk about Pastor Mark Burns getting indignant that we interpreted his comments about the LGBT community accurately. He said he wants the death penalty, and now he seems to be reversing his position. Next, we're going to talk about Senate candidate Eric Greitens releasing a disturbing campaign ad where he encourages people to go rhino hunting. Next, we're going to talk about Pastor Robin Bullock refusing to give up on the idea that he was right. Trump was definitely ordained by God to be president in 2020. Next, we're going to talk about Lauren Boebert holding a campaign event at a church. Holding a campaign event at a church. I repeated it because there's a siren outside, and then the siren went off again. You probably can't hear it, but it'll be picked up by my mic. Lauren Boebert holding a next, we're going to talk about Lauren Boebert holding a campaign event at a church. There we go. No sirens that time. Okay. Perfect. How's everybody doing? Doing okay? Everything going well? Nothing crazy happening? Is it coming out, coming through clearly and all that? Just checking through, looking at the chat. Did his feed reload a few times? It should have reloaded once. My video, like my live stream, should have reloaded once. Sounds fine. All good here. Okay, awesome. Yeah, like I said, I'm not talking about Roe v. Wade tonight. It may come up. I may mention a couple things about it. But it is not the subject of discussion, obviously. I do intend to talk about the rights that we're losing as a result of other Supreme Court cases that they just heard. Not even just Roe v. Wade, but other stuff. I'll be talking about that on Tuesday on my main channel if you're interested. I'll be going through like a few different court cases because my wife works for American Atheists, and as a result, watches this stuff like a hawk. Like, she knew the second the Roe v. Wade case was decided. She's sitting there watching their blog, hitting refresh, waiting to find out. Like, she found out when reporters found out, basically, before anybody else got a hold of it. So, I was actually in bed when they released it in the morning, and she yelled in there and told me about it. So, anyway... yeah, it's been pretty rough. Everybody's having a hard time. Anyway, all right, I'll tell you what. Why don't I reset my cameras? We'll hit the first story, shall we? First story is about Mark Burns. Hold on. All right, let me reset my cameras. CPT Doom, glad you're here doing this work. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're here watching me do this work. Yours truly, number one pony. Feel a lot better, but still having a lingering cough. Well, that's good news. Glad you're doing better. It means you made it through, right? Not everybody does. For those who are unaware, I believe yours truly, the number one pony, had COVID recently, right? Scary stuff, man. Scary stuff. Okay. Let's hit the first story. Yeah. Pastor Mark Burns used to be candidate Mark Burns, but he recently lost his election. He was running for U.S. Congress in South Carolina. He was running for U.S. Congress in South Carolina. He was a hardcore Trumpist, like deep Trump supporter. Election conspiracies and all of that, the whole 9 yards. But like I said, he lost, so he's no longer candidate Mark Burns. He's Pastor Mark Burns now. In my eyes, it's still worth our time to look at what he has to say, though, because he is part of the political movement. He's contributing to it in his own ways. And again, he's a pastor, and when pastors get involved in politics like this, I feel the need to cover it. So, with that being said, let me just refresh your memory on this thing that he said last week, I think, because it's going to be relevant in a second. Listen to this clip. Early June 2022 is when he said this. Check this clip out.
The LGBT, transgender, grooming our children's minds is a national security threat because it is ultimately designed to destabilize the republic we call the United States of America. That's why when I'm elected, I don't want to just vote. I want to start holding people accountable for treason.
Okay, so what he says here is LGBT allies, not even just LGBT people, but allies. I can't even imagine how he feels about the people, but this is only about people who support the movement. He's saying people like us should be held accountable for treason to the U.S. government. He says being in support of LGBT rights is a national security threat, and we should be held accountable for treason, right? There are two parts to this clip, so that's the first section. And here's where he explains what he believes should happen to people who are charged with treason. Listen to this part.
Hearings and start executing.
Sorry, hang on. Let me step back a little bit.
Just be voting people. No, we need to hold people for treason, start having some public hearings, and start executing people who are found guilty for their treasonous acts against the Constitution of the United States of America, just like they did back in 1776.
Okay, now I covered this last week, like I said. And at the time, when I was covering this, Newsweek, MSNBC, a whole bunch of other news networks were talking about it too. Because this guy just said he wants the death penalty for the LGBT community, for anybody from the LGBT community, right? That's pretty clear. There's no getting around that. That's what he said. He said, if you're an LGBT ally, you should be charged with treason. And then, a sentence or two later, he says, if you're charged with treason, you should receive the death penalty. Doesn't take a huge logical leap to get to where he is, right? The reason that this is relevant, and the reason I'm playing this again, is because after this was covered by MSNBC and Newsweek and all these others, he decided to backtrack. He decided he wasn't happy with the attention that got him. So he goes on this far-right conspiracy theory show called Diamond and Silk. These two women on the left are named Diamond and Silk. This is on Lindell TV. I think they have their own TV show on Mike Lindell's TV network. Anyway, we'll get into them in a minute. They have their own can of worms that we're going to have to get into. But he goes on Diamond and Silk to defend himself. So let's listen to how he decided to defend himself from his crystal clear comments. Listen to this.
If people would just go do their due diligence and just watch the show in its entirety, then you would clearly hear me not say that we should be killing the LGBT or transgender, community. We've been getting blasted.
Okay, so he says it's a context problem. If we just went back and listened to it in its entirety, huh? Okay, well, I skipped a little bit. I did. I skipped some. So let's start at the end of his LGBT sentence and go all the way to the beginning of his "what you do to traitors" sentence. Listen to the gap in between, okay? Check this out.
I don't want to just vote. I want to start holding people accountable for treason.
This is about the LGBT community. He says, people from the LGBT community are a national security threat. When I get to Congress, I'm not just going to vote on bills. I'm going to hold these people accountable for treason, right? That's where he led us in this sentence just now. And then he says,
to the Constitution, I am going to push to reenact HUAC. HUAC is the House of Un-American Activities Committee. It was a real committee that was formulated back in the 50s. And
the HUAC was a HUAC was a House committee that perpetrated McCarthyism. It was like an anti-communist committee, and they were like jailing people, firing people from their jobs, and all kinds of crazy stuff if they were communist or socialist or whatever. It was part of the whole Red Scare or whatever else. So he wants to formulate following his train of thought, he wants to formulate a committee, House of Un-American Activities Committee, dedicated to finding members of the LGBT community and holding them accountable for treason. That's what he said. That's what this is, right? No way to misinterpret this.
And it's a committee that we should reenact that starts holding these people accountable for treason. Lindsey Graham should be...
Okay, now he says we're going to want to hold these people accountable for treason. End of sentence. Beginning of a new sentence. Now he's talking about Lindsey Graham. Okay? I just want to make sure we have full context for this whole thing, so he can't weasel his way out.
Lindsey Graham should be held accountable for treason for supporting Joe Biden's gun-grabbing Second Amendment law that he's trying to push forward. Lindsey Graham, my opponent's mentor, just stated that I am supporting all initiatives that Joe Biden has put forward with gun control, and he is pushing for others, Democrats, to push it to a vote.
So what I'm picking up is not only does he want to charge members of the LGBT community with treason, but he also wants to charge Lindsey Graham with treason for, what, I guess disagreeing with something? I mean, this is like a thought crime at this point.
Mitch McConnell just stated to urge other Republican senators to support Lindsey Graham to come after our guns, to confiscate our guns. That should be held for treason, not just be voting people. No, we need to hold people for treason, start having some public hearings, and start executing people who are found guilty for their treasonous acts against the Constitution of the United States of America, just like they did back in 1776.
Okay, so what he's saying here, I get the impression the reason that he was talking about people who support the LGBT community, the reason he said that is because everything else in this whole sentence was about thought crimes. Everything in this whole thing was thought crime related. Lindsey Graham doesn't agree with him on the Second Amendment or gun legislation. The LGBT community doesn't agree with him on certain things, so they should be held for treason. And ultimately, HUAC, the House of Un-American Activities Committee, that was a thought crime committee, ultimately. That's what it was all about, thought crimes. If they thought that you believed in communism, you could be charged. You could be sentenced. You could be put in jail for that. Or you could, at the very least, be fired from your job and ostracized from your community. So this guy very clearly picked two things, two subjects, LGBT rights and gun rights, and said if you disagree with him on those two things, you should be held for treason. And we all know what he said should happen for people who are charged with treason. There's no way to misinterpret that. I don't know how else he expects us to read that. I'm just listening to the words he says and understanding them. That's it. What did you mean, if not that, Mark?
Entirety, then you would clearly hear me not say that we should be killing the LGBT or transgender, community.
That is exactly what he said. Exactly what he said. And if that isn't satisfactory, there are other clips of him saying it about the trans community. I haven't played those in this one or in the last video I did on him, but they are out there and I do have them.
We've been getting blasted from the gay community and trans community from all over the country because, Newsweek and MSNBC and all of those other liberal medias took pieces of two answers. There was two separate questions. There were two separate topics.
No, it wasn't two separate questions, two separate topics. You were telling us what you believe should happen to traitors. And you said members of the LGBT community are traitors. And so is Lindsey Graham for supporting gun legislation. That's what you said. That wasn't two different questions or two different answers. There was no cut in the middle. There's no fade to black and then jump to another answer in there. I had one full and complete segment from you, Mark. There's no way to weasel out of this.
I was talking about, yes, we do need to be holding people for treason in America. Those that are doing business with China, those that are doing business with Iran.
No, that's not what you were talking about. You didn't mention China or Iran in that clip. Did he forget what he even said? Like, we just watched it. We can pull this up. And for that matter, why is he even on a far-right conspiracy TV network with far-right conspiracy theorists trying to defend this? These are the types of people, Diamond and Silk, who are in complete support of the statement like that. If he really did want to charge the LGBT community with treason, these are the people that would stand behind him and their listeners. I honestly don't know why he decided to go here and correct the record, quote unquote. Bizarre.
Includes elected officials. That includes the media. That includes, any person that is undermining the sovereignty of our great nation. We call it the United States of America. They need to be held accountable for treason.
Anybody who undermines the sovereignty of this great nation? Interesting you say that because, some would say Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Andy Biggs, Mo Brooks, Donald Trump. Some would say that, they kind of what was it what was the phrase he used? Undermined the sovereignty of the United States. So if you're going to start doing that, you're going to have to put them at the front of the line.
Just like Hillary Clinton, just like Hunter Biden's laptop. They keep doing these nefarious things and getting away with it. Fauci needs to be held accountable for treason, for knowing that the death, that what he's been pushing on Americans and the mass that has been pushing on Americans, that's a false narrative that is funding Big Pharma.
There is nothing in this guy's head but propaganda, is there? Nothing. Completely empty, except propaganda. What does Hunter Biden... Did he say we should charge Hunter Biden's laptop with treason? Is that what he said? I think that's what he said. What did Hillary Clinton do that was treasonous to the United States? Who was the last person? Fauci? What did Fauci do that was treasonous to the United States? Like, I know you've got your conspiracy theories and all that stuff. Do you have anything solid? Do you have anything concrete that's not a thought crime? You can't just give people you don't like the death penalty. There has to be something behind it. The guy seems to be openly calling for authoritarianism and violating human rights. I don't know how else to read this. I'm so glad he lost his primary.
but yet
Unfortunately, he's obviously still involved in political discourse in the United States. He is on Lindell TV. Like, this is a real full-blown TV network that he's on. He is on... These people are incredibly well known in some political circles. It's disturbing stuff, dude.
Big pharma, but yet millions of Americans are dying at the hands of their poor instructions. They need to be held accountable.
Their poor instructions? What is he talking about? Big pharma, people dying because of their poor instructions. Really, there's nothing in this guy's head but propaganda, and he assumes that everybody else is on board with that propaganda, and that's why he makes absolutely no sense.
But we're not doing that. And so they took that answer of me talking about HUAC, the House of Un-American Activities Committee, and then they mixed it with another part of a question, which was about how we should not be allowing the transgender agenda into our public school.
No, it was nothing about that. Like, we watched the clip in its entirety. It had nothing to do with what he's saying here, and I don't know why he's trying to defend himself on this show of all places. He would get more votes and higher ratings if he doubled down on his whole charge LGBT people with treason bit. Does he think this is making him more popular? It just blows my mind. Like, where's this dude's head? Diamond and Silk, though, I haven't talked about them before. I've known about them for a long time. Those are the two women on the left here, the left of the screen. They are they run this show on Lindell TV. So let me give you a little bit of background into who these people are. Let's see what type of audience Mark Burns was addressing when he made all of these arguments. This is Diamond and Silk's show. This is Diamond and Silk's show on June 19th, 2022, okay? Listen to this.
Individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
Yeah, these aren't global elitists. These are global thugs.
Yes.
Yeah, I call them their evildoers.
Okay. So they seem to be upset over the idea that people want to create carbon footprint trackers, right? Nobody said they were mandatory. They just said they were trying to work on carbon footprint trackers. There are companies out there that'll help you calculate your carbon footprint so that you can figure out how to counteract that. Donate to an organization or something to that matches the amount of carbon that you're putting into the atmosphere and have them plant an equivalent number of trees or something like that. Why is it a bad thing to know how much carbon you're putting into the atmosphere? Nobody said a word about forcing it on you, but that's automatically where these two women went. They automatically assume it's going to be forced on you. So listen to their response to the idea that a carbon tracker is going to be forced on you. By the way, that last clip, that was from Newsmax. If you're unfamiliar with Newsmax, it's like Fox News, except 10 times worse. Conspiracies left and right. Literally, just practically every word out of anybody's mouth on this TV network is propaganda. Anyway, listen to what Diamond and Silk had to say in response to the idea that a carbon tracker might exist.
I call them their evildoers. Because why is it that you feel like your lily made self want to track other people? Like we some type of rabid dog or some type of animal or something.
Or a robot.
Yeah. Like what? Why are you all sitting your lily made self up there trying to play God when you're not?
Come on.
Okay, no one's trying to play God. We're just trying to prevent the planet from turning into an apocalyptic wasteland. That's it. And we're not forcing it on anybody. We're just trying to make something that people could use to improve the world a little bit. When did it become left-wing to be concerned about pollution, for example? Why is pollution a left-wing, right-wing problem. This makes no sense.
God when you're not.
Come on.
When you're not. Yeah. And see, this is why we cannot allow them to chip away at our Second Amendment because we may need it still. Hey.
Okay, wait. I wasn't sure which one was which. I wasn't sure which one was diamond and which was silk, but I think the one on the left just called the one on the right silk, so.
Second Amendment because we may need it still. Hey.
Yeah, I guess the one on the right is silk, the one on the left is diamond. Really interesting names. Anyway, you catch what they just said. This is why we can't allow them to chip away at our Second Amendment rights because we may need them. Wow. Just wow. So I guess they want to, so I guess they buy guns and they keep guns around them at all times just in case a carbon footprint tracker is created, not used on you, but just created. These people really do just straight up live in a fantasy land where they seem to believe that, like, the government is out to get them 24/7. Or somebody's always out to get them. If it's not the government, then it's left-wingers, it's the Democrats, there's always somebody. There's always some enemy hunting them, coming out to get them, and they need guns to protect themselves from them. It's just an unhinged, confusing world to live in, honestly.
Hey. Because it looks like these people want to track us, globalize us.
You think they're not tracking you through your phone right now? Seriously, what kind of fantasy land do these people live in? Do you not realize that they've been tracking you through your phone since 2003 or something? Have you not heard of the PRISM program? Have you not heard of, like, the Edward Snowden leaks through, what's his name? God, I don't remember the dude's name. The Intercept guy, whoever it is. What's his name? I want to say starts with a G, right? What is it? Yeah, Patriot Act. Yeah, that's the thing. Patriot Act. They've been tracking you through the Patriot Act since wait. Hang on. Yeah, Patriot Act was enacted on October 26, 2001. Guess what? Diamond and Silk. They've been tracking you through your phone since that passed. And it's only been getting worse and worse and worse. Glenn Greenwald, that's the guy's name. I wanted to say Griswold, probably because I got the Supreme Court on the brain at the moment. Anyway, Glenn Greenwald, yeah, he was the reporter who released all the PRISM papers and stuff with Edward Snowden. It blows my mind that these people honestly don't even realize that they're being tracked 24/7. By the government, by Facebook, by everybody. Everybody is tracking you, and they have been for like decades now. And you're afraid of a carbon tracker? Like they would need a carbon tracker to track you. This is almost as bizarre to me as the claim that they need a microchip through a vaccine to track you. They've been tracking you through your phone for 20 years, okay? They don't need a microchip in a vaccine to do it. Just blows me away. Where are these people's heads? Are they not thinking critically? No, they're not. Honestly, that's the answer. They are not thinking critically, unfortunately.
And make us into something that we are not. And they're pushing this mess on to the people.
Making us into something that we're not? What does that mean? We're talking about tracking you. How would that make you into something that you're not? I feel like this goes just a little bit deeper than just tracking you and enters into, like, turn you into a lizard person through a vaccine conspiracy theory. I think that's kind of where it's headed a little bit.
And the people are telling you, we don't want this.
We don't want that.
We don't want this here.
Yeah.
You got these people sitting up here trying to make decisions for the rest of the world. Who are they?
Yes.
Who died and left y'all in charge?
Okay, a lot of these people were elected to be in charge of the districts that they're in charge of. They're not in charge of the world. Who they're talking about here is the World Economic Forum, and there's this whole conspiracy revolving around the World Economic Forum called the Great Reset. And it's honestly completely baseless. And I talk about it in a video that comes out on my Telltale Unfiltered channel on July 1st. So by the time you see this, it may already be out. I think it's on July 1st. It's with Mel K. I debunk Mel K and a bunch of Great Reset stuff she said. Well, anyway, I go through the whole thing and break down exactly what the Great Reset is and all kinds of other stuff. In fact, I may insert a clip of that into this so that you can just see a sample of what I talk about on the Unfiltered channel. I may even link the full video in the description if you want to see the rest of it. Anyway, so that's the Great Reset. That's why the World Economic Forum is so significant to them and why they think they're being tracked. And there's just this whole big conspiracy built up around the World Economic Forum. That's why they're losing their minds over it.
Who died and left y'all in charge? Who said you all was in charge? Just because you done made a little money, you think you can tell the little people what to do.
Come on.
Well, just because you are a grasshopper, there's more ants than grasshoppers.
That's right.
Understand that.
I don't understand that. I'm sorry. I'm trying, honestly and genuinely. But what? They're more ant than grasshopper? Is this a reference to that Disney movie, A Bug's Life? I thought they didn't like Disney. I'm just so confused by all of this.
That's right.
Understand that. It's more of us than them.
And what is keeping up with our carbon footprint? How is that going to help we, the American people?
Well, why are they worried about tracking us?
Okay, they are not worried about tracking you. They're trying to give you the ability to track yourself. If you know what your carbon footprint is, you can take steps to mitigate that, to counteract that. I mean, there are calculators online all over the place that'll help you figure this out. Honestly, I'm not even convinced that that's even a real clip, to tell you the truth, at this point. What would a carbon tracker do for anybody? Like, you could just use a calculator and figure it out yourself. You don't need a tracker. Aside from that, I don't know. I guess, like, trackers could be useful if you own a farm, and it could help you figure out, like, how much methane your animals are releasing into the atmosphere or something like that. But you can take steps to mitigate the damage if you know exactly how much damage you personally are doing. That's the point. Again, I'm not even convinced this is real at this point.
Worried about tracking us.
Oh.
What do you all have planned?
Oh, that's the undercover hoopla.
That's the undercover hoopla.
Gotcha.
Listen, I don't believe that the United States of America want to go into globalism, socialism, or communism.
That's right.
Now, if that's what y'all want to do, go build yourself an island and do it over there.
That's right.
But not here.
Not in America.
Okay, nobody in charge, nobody in any kind of position of political power in the U.S. has anything to do with communism. I mean, there are some social democrats in the United States. That's not socialism by any stretch of the imagination. This is just absolutely unhinged stuff, dude. And here's the point, okay? Why did Mark Burns go on their show of all places to tell their audience that he didn't want to hold the LGBT community or charge the LGBT community with treason? Why did he tell their audience? If anything, he just lowered his ratings by telling them that. If he wanted to improve his ratings among the general population, he should have gone on MSNBC or Newsweek or someplace like that covered this originally to spread that message. And he should have doubled down on the other message, the one about charging them with treason, on Diamond and Silk's podcast or whatever. It seems to me that this dude is completely incompetent when it comes to social media or media training in general. But I guess that worked out for the best for us, right? I mean, at least he lost his primary. At least as a result, at least indirect result, he's not going to be in government. Not right now, anyways. So here's my question. Wait. Yeah, okay. Anyway. All right, let me take a short break. Let me reset my cameras. When we come back, we're going to talk about Eric Greitens releasing a disturbing campaign ad when he encourages people to go rhino hunting. So give us 30 seconds, and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Telltale Channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media. Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. Welcome back. All right, give me a second here. We'll take a look at Super Chats and stuff. Just pull up the next set of clips. Next one is Eric Greitens. Whew. This guy is something else. Something else, man. This one will probably be a little bit shorter, I'm guessing. Okay, that'll do, I suppose. It's not exactly right, but it's close enough. Okay. Tell you what, why don't I feed the kitties treats? You guys want to feed the kitties some treats? Hang on. You guys want treats? Do you guys want treats? Got the treats. Meow. Meow. They're getting treats. Hang on. Give me a second and I'll read the super chats. I'm just going to turn off my green screen so you guys can see a little bit better. There you go. All right, let's see here. Where were we? Josh White, something for the retro collection. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'll find something cool to put that into. Joe LaFaro, thank you for the super chat. Alex Shearman. Hey, Owen, I appreciate the work you do. Your content helped me a lot during my deconstruction. Keep it up, man. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're here. Glad I could help in some small way. Yours truly, the number one pony. Weird part, I got sick, but my family did. But my family didn't, I assume. We were all together at the same time, same place, wherever I contracted it. Anyways, hope to get back on YouTube soon. Well, that is weird. Some people are just different like that. I mean, were you all vaccinated? Because Kylie caught it and was honestly reasonably sick. It was like a rough cold, you know. A lot of coughing, sniffly nose, the whole nine. Tested positive. I never caught it. We were all vaccinated, triple vaccinated, I think. And I never tested positive. I felt kind of down for a couple days, but yeah, it just passed right over me. I was really lucky. Well, it wasn't luck. It was science. People are they come out of it differently. It just depends, I suppose. It's weird. I mean, they didn't get sick, but I did, right? Thanks for the super chats. All that jazz. I'm guessing he means rhinos, Republicans in name only. Yes. Yep. That is what he means. We'll be getting there. It's disturbing stuff, man. Sleepy Times, welcome. Got my second booster jab, and I haven't died yet. No magnetic powers either. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, I would love to be able to stick keys to myself. I can think of all kinds of useful qualities or use. I can think of all kinds of uses for sticking keys to myself, right? I'd never lose a pair of keys again. That would be awesome. Maybe they'll invent a vaccine that actually does allow you to stick keys to yourself one of these days. Hey, you guys fighting? Quit it. They're out of treats. Such a good kitty. Okay. Where was I? Got my second booster jab. I haven't died yet. Okay, got it. Hype. Thank you so much for the sticker. Appreciate it. All that jazz. I bought a Wii on eBay for $50 the other day. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Wiis are awesome. I got one from my buddy Brian. He gave me a Wii years ago, and I still have it. It's actually a modded Wii. Love that thing. Lucy Jexy. Thank you for the super chat. American Choir Boy. He may be talking about those who push the gay agenda, not LGBT people. The gay agenda being a boogeyman, of course. Yeah, that's true. And it seems like that to me, too. Which would include the LGBT community. He has intentions to charge anybody who pushes the gay agenda or whatever. Charge him with treason. Like, that's just straight up disturbing stuff, dude. No way to misinterpret that. That's what he said. Nerico, welcome. The nation needs an enema. Here's treat money for our feline overlords. Appreciate that, and so do they. They love treats. Such a good kitty. Last week I told you guys about Miki overdosing on the nip, and I told you that there was a good kitty sitting back here, but I couldn't show her. Well, now I can. Here's the good kitty right here. The big orange fluffer. Hey, quit the fighting. Anyway, the big orange fluffer back here who got herself hooked on the nip, and she's in kitty rehab now. Damn it. Quit fighting, you guys. There's plenty of treats for everybody. Anyway, big orange fluffer, as I was saying, addicted to the nip. She's doing a lot better now. She's a good kitty. Except for when she fights. Oh, let's see here. Hey, welcome, Perturbed Son. Thanks for coming. Owen, do you think the Hank Kunnemans of the world believe they are legitimate prophets of God, or are they all grifting, or somewhere in the middle? I think it depends on the prophet. Hank Kunneman specifically, I think he really does believe the things that he says. Now, I think a lot of the other things that he says and does are grifts. I think he's scamming people in some ways. I think he's taking advantage of his audience to make them think that he's more prophetic and holy than he is, so he can talk him into giving them more money than they are. But that specific thing, believing in Trump as the new Messiah, effectively, I think that he really does believe that. I think he has bought his own BS in that respect, in my opinion. But who knows, honestly? Generally, I like to make as few assumptions as possible. And in this situation, that would mean assuming that he's not grifting. Assuming the best of somebody, being as charitable as possible, and letting them get themselves caught up in their own lies, rather than me trying to catch them up in lies. That's generally how I approach situations. So if we approached that situation from that angle, I would say, I don't know. Just sit at the standard, I don't know. That's a good enough answer. Anyway. You're hilarious when cringed. Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks for the super chat. Yeah, I tend to cringe a lot when I'm watching this stuff. Brittany Stanley, The Ant and the Grasshopper is one of Aesop's fables. All right, that's what I thought, but I didn't understand what they were talking about in that context. I feel like they were trying to make a metaphor with the grasshopper and the ant, but it wasn't really making any sense or coming together or whatever. Like, the metaphor they were using just didn't really connect in that context. It was just really weird. Really weird. James Crestgy, thank you so much. Or Crest, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. Okay, I think we're good. Just taking a sip here. I have a bluish looking cup I wonder what that looks like with a green screen on. Normal. Okay. I thought it'd be detected by the green screen. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Wasn't detected. All right, let me fix my green screen. Give me just a second here. Okay, I think we're good. It's a little scratchy, but it'll even back out in a second, I think. Okay. Guess that'll do. I feel like it's not quite right. Hang on. Okay, I think that'll work. All right. Awesome. For the cat's rehab, lol. Okay, thank you so much. She's doing a lot better now. She hasn't, like, thrown up or anything lately, so that's good news, right? All right, sweet. I think we're good to continue on. Let me just check stream health. Stream is good. Analytics. Okay. I think everything's good to go. All right, let's continue on then, shall we? Give me a second here. Hey, psst, quit it. Bad. He's scratching the shit out of the couch. I gotta spray him. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. He knows he's not supposed to do that, and he does it anyways because he's a shithead. Bad. Bad. Okay. Miki would never do something like that. She's a good kitty. He's a mean kitty sometimes. Wait, did I miss Super Chats? I'm sorry. I don't know how I missed that. Shoot. Okay. Atticus, trans man and big fan. Wow, that rhymed. I'm glad. I appreciate the rhyme. At the state, fear at the state of things. I know. I'm sorry. I know. It's a bad situation. It's a bad situation for a lot of people, for everybody, honestly. And it's been really stressful. That's why I've been trying to avoid the elephant in the room. Roe v. Wade and the fact that they want to criminalize being gay. Not gay marriage, but being gay. It's disturbing stuff, man. So I thought I could get people's minds off of it with some unrelated things. Not really connected to Roe v. Wade. Or, you know, Lawrence or Griswold or Obergefell. Those cases that Clarence Thomas specifically mentioned. Figured I could try to lift people's spirits up a little bit by listening to some cringe and stuff. Although the next one isn't cringe. The next story I'm covering, it's just, well, it's kind of cringe, but it's like disturbing more than anything. But the one after that, that's cringe and funny, I think. It's about Kat Kerr and Robin Bullock and just crazy stuff. I can't wait for that one. Anyways, just checking through the chat. Hang on. Okay. Sweet. Also, Alex Baranowski. Is Miki part Maine Coon? Also being magnetic would help you climb ladders and not drop tools. That's true, I know. One more reason to get the vaccine, right? She is full Maine Coon as far as I know, but she's a rescue from a shelter. She's a shelter cat. My wife picked her up, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago now, long time ago. Found her at a shelter. She had been dumped, apparently. Sadly. She has a heart murmur, so I guess it's possible she was dumped because of the heart murmur. You know, she'll live a shorter life, and people just didn't want to deal with it, or the medical bills that go with it. I don't know. But anyway, she's a good kitty. I love her to death. She's such a sweet and calm and chill kitty. Doesn't hate anybody for anything. She's just such a nice cat, you know? Cashmere's a good cat, too, and I've had him his whole life, since he was a kitten. I got him when he was born, basically. Within just a couple months of that, I think. And he's lived with me the whole time. And he acts like he's abused. Like he's so skittish and worried about everything and just looks around every corner like something's out to get him. And he's a shithead, too. Like, he scratches things up intentionally that he knows he's not supposed to scratch. Like, he has scratching posts. He doesn't need to scratch the couch, and he knows that. We've put double-sided tape on it. We've put, like, lemon water on things, and it just doesn't work. He just does it to be a shithead. He does it when we exit the room intentionally, waits for us to leave, or waits for me to walk around the corner or whatever, and then he does it, and I just don't get it. But he does sit up in my lap sometimes. I love him, too. He's just a shithead sometimes, that's all. Why do these people think that God is paying special attention to the U.S., considering that there are child soldiers in Africa, war in Ukraine, and genocide in China? They have a weird religious ideology that revolves around America. They believe that... You know what? That's a good question. Let me show you. I'll show you from the words of a televangelist, from the words of an evangelical themselves. Let me see if I can find the clip. It's been a while. I don't think I've even played this clip on my channels before. I don't think I ever got around to playing this. But, hang on. I'm just going to scroll through my clips, see if I can find Yeah, this is it. Listen to this. This will put into perspective for you how these people view America and why they believe that America was specially chosen by God. Listen to this. And this is Shane Vaughn. He is a televangelist nutcase that believes that Trump is the new Messiah, basically. This clip is from early November 2021.
And he wrote down, we are going, he wrote a course, to New Israel, New Israel, New Israel. And when they came off the ship, they didn't plant an American flag. They planted the Christian flag. On the soil they dedicated. George Washington knelt and prayed, dedicated America where the Twin Towers stand or stood. That's where America came into covenant with Yahweh, with God, was where the Twin Towers stand.
Wow. Ain't that something?
That is where George Washington prayed, right?
Not true. Any of it. Revisionist history at best. Delusion at worst. This is why they believe that America is so special. This is why they think America is what God is paying the most attention to. Because they believe that God made a covenant with America as the new Israel. You know, in the Old Testament, the Israelites made a covenant with Yahweh and agreed that he would protect them in exchange for their exclusive worship, blah, blah, blah. They believe the exact same thing happened when America was discovered, with like Christopher Columbus and his whole group, and the Pilgrims and all that. Complete nonsense. None of it is true. Like, down to the details that he's giving us, not even the details are true. Like, George Washington knelt down where the Twin Towers were. No, none of that. He didn't pray in front of the Twin Towers or whatever else. It's all nonsense.
There's a chapel right outside the Twin Towers where George Washington, that picture of him.
I believe that's called St. Paul's Chapel. Could be wrong on that. Yeah, I read about that specifically because I was trying to get a tour guide's license to give tours in New York City. Figured I'd give tours to fans. Thought that'd be awesome. Still want to do that. I was waiting for COVID to get a little better. I may still do it. We'll see. Anyway, that's beside the point. I don't remember anything about George Washington kneeling in front of St. Paul's Chapel with his horse and praying to God and all that. It's all nonsense. This is all complete nonsense with little bits of truth thrown in here or there. Like, yeah, there is a chapel there. That's true. That's like the only true thing in this entire sentence.
Praying by the horse. That's where it happened. Outside the Twin Towers where George...
Oops, sorry. I wanted to play this sentence one more time. Hang on.
It prayed, right? There's a chapel right outside the Twin Towers where George Washington, that picture of him praying by the horse, that's where it happened.
That picture of George Washington praying by his horse? Let me pull it up. Okay, here. This picture right here. Hang on. This picture right here. It's fake. It never happened. This is a fabrication. It's historical revisionism. It's not real. But here we have Shane Vaughn describing a scenario that fits the historical narrative behind this painting. The painting isn't real. The events that took place in this painting never happened. What Shane Vaughn is describing here never happened. It's nonsense from top to bottom. But it doesn't matter. These people don't care if it's real or not. They know it's not real. They're the ones making it up more often than not. As long as it fits their narrative, as long as they can convince gullible suckers, they'll say it.
Chapel right outside the Twin Towers where George Washington, that picture of him praying by the horse, that's where it happened. That's where he dedicated our nation in covenant to God. If you will make us a great nation, deliver us from tyranny, then we will serve you. And he gave the nation to God at that point. Every signer of the Declaration of Independence were descendants of the tribes of Israel. We can trace it. We know it.
The signers of the Declaration of Independence were direct descendants from the tribes of Israel. That's what he just claimed. Is it delusion or is it grift? Delusion or grift? I don't know. I can't tell. It's so hard to know for sure one way or another. I mean, that's simply not true in any way at all. So I have to imagine he either made this up. I mean, I have to imagine he just made it up, right? Maybe he claims that God gave him this information secretly in the dead of night, spoke to him and said, Shane, the founding fathers are descendants of the tribes of Israel. It's nonsense. Theologically, it doesn't make sense because you don't have to be a descendant of the 12 tribes of Israel to get into God's kingdom or to, be in covenant with God or whatever, right? According to Christianity, you don't have to be related to the Jewish people for that to be the case. So theologically, it's nonsense. Historically, it's nonsense. I mean, it's nonsense all the way around, from top to bottom. It's made up nonsense, made up by Shane.
Trace it, we know it. I was a doctor of theology.
No, you weren't. You were not a doctor of theology, Shane. This is just straight up bizarre. Now he's just lying. Like, everything out of his mouth is false right now. I haven't picked out a single true thing. I haven't picked out a single true thing out of his mouth yet, except for that mention that there's a chapel next to where the Twin Towers were. That's the only true thing in this whole thing that I've picked out.
The doctor of theology. I was the youngest ordained evangelist in America at 14 years old. Wow.
Is 14 the youngest that anyone has ever been an ordained minister? I'm skeptical. I feel like this is, verifiable information that we could just look up and find out.
Wow. I've lived for the Lord my whole life, and I was dumb as a box of rocks and didn't know it at 40 years old, because I thought that a Jew meant Israel and an Israel meant Jew. Until I started studying my Bible, and I found out that the first mention of the word Jew in the Bible is them fighting against Israel.
What? I don't even know, dude. I don't even know. This is standard doctrine in a lot of ways. And even if this isn't spoken directly in their theology, a lot of evangelicals believe this way anyways. A lot of them believe that America is in covenant with Yahweh. They think that they're connected to God and God cares about this government the most, and that, Rusty Bowers was testifying in front of the January 6th committee not too long ago, and specifically said in front of the January 6th committee in the hearing, he said he believed that the Constitution was divinely inspired, that God inspired the Founding Fathers to write the Constitution and sign it, just like when Moses wrote the books of, like, Genesis and Exodus or whatever else. Exactly the same way. Just like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John wrote the Gospels. Of course, Moses didn't write those books, and neither did Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. That's beside the point. The point is, they believe the Constitution to be divinely inspired by God, like the Bible. Seriously. If they live in a different reality than the rest of us, and they'll do anything they can to take power. Anything. Because they believe that God wants them to. Disturbing stuff. Anyway. All right. Let me reset my cameras because they're almost out. Hang on. Thanks for the super chat, by the by. It was really interesting. Interesting little side road to take. Why do these people think... no, I hit that one. I have a Maine Coon baby. Same story. Dumped at a shelter for no good reason. It's so sad, right? Really, really disappointing. Maine Coons are the best. I love Maine Coon cats. Hi, Owen. Love the show. Any thoughts at the church? Any thoughts on the church murders and child murders by poisoning in Africa? I have not heard about it, so I can't speak to it. Sounds crazy. Why don't you tweet it at me or send me an email about it, and I'll take a look. telltalemailbag@gmail.com if you are curious what the email is. Thanks for the super chat, by the by. City Rail Dude, thank you so much. Colonizers probably prayed to God when landing in every country, and this contradicts the Pentecost. I am Christian, and these people make us look bad. Yeah, I know. I'm glad you're here. I appreciate you coming. They are deep extremists. It is deeply disturbing stuff to listen to what some of these people have to say, honestly. Jesus Christ. Wow, getting a bunch of super chats now. Appreciate that, guys. Alex Shearman, watching these extremist right-wing pastors lose their grip on reality will never not be funny. I know. Sometimes I'm deeply amused by this. I cringe, but I just eat it up sometimes because it's so bizarre, some of this stuff. Sometimes it's disturbing, and sometimes, it's concerning and stuff, but a lot of it is just hilarious, honestly. Like, and fascinating. Like what Shane Vaughn was saying earlier. Deeply fascinating that this guy ostensibly believes that the U.S. is in covenant with God the same way that the Jews were in covenant with Yahweh, right? He made that up. He must have. I've never heard that directly said by any other pastors so specifically with all those specific details. But he said it with such confidence. It's just crazy. Hang on. I know we're staying away from the court, but isn't it funny how Justice Thomas mentioned the other marriage decisions but conveniently left out Loving v. Virginia, interracial marriage? Pizza and treats. Thanks so much. Yeah, that's the interesting thing about this. So Roe v. Wade wasn't just about abortion rights. It was also about privacy rights, okay? And it was based off of the 14th Amendment, I believe. It is the 14th Amendment, right? Let me just look this up. Hang on. No, maybe it wasn't the 14th. Maybe I was thinking of a different one. Well, anyway, it was based on one of the amendments that revolved around privacy, right? And so Roe v. Wade was based on that amendment about privacy. So was Loving v. Virginia. So was Loving v. Virginia, of course, is the interracial marriage one. That allows people of different races to get married. Lawrence v. Texas was also based on that amendment, and that one says that you're allowed to engage in sexual acts with somebody of the same sex, basically. It goes far beyond that, but just to simplify, that's what Lawrence is. And Obergefell is also based on it, and that is gay marriage. What was the other? The contraception one, Griswold, I believe, was also based on it. That was that allows people to get contraception. That legalizes the ability to use contraception, right? Okay, so interracial marriage, gay marriage, the act of being gay, using contraception, those, and Roe v. Wade, those cases were all based on the precedent set in the privacy amendment that I'm talking about. And Clarence Thomas specifically mentioned every one of those cases when overturning Roe v. Wade, except the interracial marriage one. He said, since we're overturning Roe v. Wade, we're going to have to revisit all of them. Lawrence, Griswold, Obergefell, Lawrence, Griswold, and Obergefell. Clarence, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if you're reanalyzing those, you're going to have to reanalyze Loving v. Virginia, which would invalidate your marriage, bud. It doesn't matter, because the Supreme Court is not about law anymore. The Supreme Court is not about logic or reason or the social contract or any of that stuff. It is now about right-wing extremism and nothing else. That's what it's about. So they will try, I think, to overturn the cases that Clarence Thomas specifically said he wants to overturn. I believe they're going to try to overturn the ability to get contraception. I believe they're going to try to overturn gay marriage and the act of being gay. I believe they will. But I don't think they're going after interracial marriage because that would directly affect one of the court members, and they don't care if they're hypocrites or not. It doesn't matter. All they want to do is turn the U.S. into a far-right extremist autocracy, for lack of a better term. That's what it seems like to me. Anyway. All right. I'll move on. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Whatever. Your cats are wonderful. I went as far as wrapping entire architectural columns in my living room with sisal rope for the world's largest scratching post, and my cat Otto still hates my guts. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I don't know what it is about cats, but they absolutely love scratching things they're not supposed to. All that jazz, you missed one of mine. Oh, did I? How am I missing all these super chats? Spray bottles aren't an effective training tool. Same argument I've been having with my managers at the doggy daycare Lamau. Yeah, I've heard that. Although vets, I've talked to the vets, and the vets said that spray bottles are good in some cases, but should be used very infrequently. And I do use it very infrequently. It's very rare that I use it. But I don't know. I am always open to listening to evidence and amending my views on things. Always. I always follow the evidence. Sorry about that. I don't know how I'm missing these. I try to pay attention to that. Jim Adelberg, thank you for the super chat. The Quiet Knitter, finally, I caught you live. Do you think Greg Locke believes all those things he says? I do, unfortunately. I think he's a true believer. That's believer, not belieber. Don't mistake the two. Belieber is somebody who loves Justin Bieber. Greg Locke is a believer, somebody who actually thinks the crazy things that he says, and he's not just saying it for attention. I think some of the things he says are for attention, but I think he still believes it deeply. I mean, he's Michael Flynn's pastor, and Michael Flynn is a complete nutcase. And now Michael Flynn, I don't think he believes half the stuff he says. I think he's using QAnon to his advantage. Unfortunately, Greg Locke is one of those QAnoners that he's taken advantage of. That's just my take on it. Thanks for the super chat. Azula Maxine Spencer, thank you so much. Joe LaFaro, and have you checked out Jimmy Swaggart and the Swaggart family? Those folks are vicious. I have, although I haven't talked about them. I should. Are they still around? I thought that was an older one. Either way, it could be interesting to cover. I probably should one of these days. City Rail Dude, as an Orthodox Christian, thanks for exposing these people that make the rest of us Christians look bad, especially in the USA. Keep up the good work. Cheers from Australia. Appreciate that. I'm glad you're here. And I'm glad you're willing to super chat. Thank you for super chatting. And I'm glad you're willing to see reason. I'm glad you're not brainwashed and diving deep into extremism. It's disturbing stuff, dude. Disturbing stuff where they're going. Azula Maxine Spencer, thank you again. Shantae Townsell, been sipping Chardonnay. Email once more, please. telltalemailbag@gmail.com. Anyway, City Rail Dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That is the shit. Let's see. I grew up evangelical, was told repeatedly that there's a covenant between God and the U.S. Never in that much of detail, though. Yeah, it's a common belief. Like I said, I don't know that it's written down and it's like, the details been fully fleshed out the way that Shane Vaughn did. But it is a common belief. There's a covenant between the U.S. and God. And it's becoming an even more common belief that Trump is like a new messiah, that's acting on that covenant or whatever. Absolutely deranged stuff, man. Deranged stuff, really. Anyway, I'll tell you, let me reset my cameras and we will hit the next story. Okay. This one is about Eric Greitens. Awesome. I'm trying to bring back the phrase amazeballs. I think that's a pretty on point phrase, right? Amazeballs and boom goes the dynamite. I would love to bring those back. All right. Let's see. For those who may be unfamiliar, Eric Greitens is the ex-governor of Missouri, and he's now running for Senate. So who is he? What's he all about? Let me play this clip for you from MSNBC. This is from Morning Joe. This clip's going to be relevant in a minute. So listen to what they have to say about Eric Greitens. They did a whole segment on him.
I want to remind our audience again about the comments retired federal judge J. Michael Luttig made last week.
J. Michael Luttig, by the by, is a federal judge who testified in the January 6th hearings that that Trump actually tried to overthrow the government and we almost lost democracy and things like that. Like, he did a whole bunch of testifying for him. Anyway, he's an extremely influential, important, and notable conservative judge in conservative circles. So it was a big deal that he came out and said that at the hearings.
In the January 6th hearing, saying, quote, Donald Trump and his allies and supporters are a clear and present danger to American democracy. Keep that in mind. And I want you to see what a former governor of Missouri, now a Senate candidate, has put out in the new campaign ad that, like 100 other Republican ads this cycle, uses guns and incites violence against his primary opponents. Take a look at...
I was actually going to play the ad myself, but when I found this clip, when I was doing research for the segment, I realized they didn't play the ad, and they gave compelling reasons not to, so I decided not to play it either. So just listen to their description of the ad. If you're curious of what happened in the ad, just look it up. It's on Twitter, all over the place. Eric Greitens. His name is like in the description and other places, in the title of this video and everything if you need to know how to spell it. Just copy and paste into Twitter if you want to see the ad.
This
is former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens, who is vying to fill a vacant Senate seat in the state. And he released the ad yesterday, and we'll just show you video here. He announces that he's going, quote, rhino hunting.
If you're unfamiliar, rhino stands for Republican in name only, and it's the title that Trump gives to people, to Republicans who don't support Trump. So you're not a Republican if you don't stand behind Donald Trump, basically, is the whole bit here. So he says he's going rhino hunting in the ad. That's pretty obvious. And he's not in the wild looking for rhinos either. He's busting into a house in the campaign ad with a SWAT team.
Rhino being the acronym for Republicans in name only. Holding a gun. The video depicts an armed Greitens bursting into a house alongside men in tactical gear. He also encourages viewers to, quote, join the MAGA crew and get a rhino hunting permit. Facebook parent company Meta says it removed the video from its sites because it violated rules about violence. Twitter flagged the video but did not remove it.
So hold on a second. So
yeah, he's
actually
rhino hunting.
We can't show this ad, Gene. I guess I thought we were going to show this ad because it's too violent. You have Greitens going in and kicking down a door with guns and tells everybody to follow him. And Rhino is basically, again, it's what really stupid people call other Republicans who disagree with them. And by the way, stupid people pre-Trump were even calling people rhinos. It's for moderate Republicans or Republicans that disagree with them on the insurrection. But again, here's a guy carrying a gun in with other people, and they are hunting out their political opponents. And again, this is fascism.
I'm honestly kind of surprised to hear him describe it as fascism. But yeah, the bottom line is that Eric Greitens has exited free speech territory and entered inciting violence territory, and this is a disturbing road to go down. This is a disturbing state to be in as a country. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, let me fix my mic here. As far as I'm concerned, this should be illegal. He should be put in jail for this. My moral line is encouraging violence. Now, that line gets a little bit blurrier when you're dealing with things like stochastic terrorism. If you haven't heard that term, the idea behind stochastic terrorism is, let me just define it for you. Okay. It's been defined as the incitement of a violent act through public demonization of a group or an individual. Stated another way, the term has been said to mean acts of violence by random extremists triggered by political demagoguery. So, here's an example for you. Bill O'Reilly went on his show on Fox News every night and talked about Dr. Tiller. And Dr. Tiller was this family planning doctor that was working at like a Planned Parenthood or something. I don't know exactly. Maybe it was his own practice. I don't know. But he was doing abortions. And Bill O'Reilly demonized this guy every single night. Every night. Over and over and over again. Made up nicknames for him. Like Tiller the Killer and stuff like that. It got very, very graphic and dark quickly. Until one day, somebody showed up in front of Dr. Tiller and killed him. Boom, just like that. That was an act of stochastic terrorism. That's what that is. When somebody demonizes a person or a group for long enough, statistically, if their audience is, say, 100,000 people, I have an audience of 350,000 at this immediate moment, give or take, right? That's how many subscribers I have on YouTube at the moment. So my audience is 350,000, say. If I start demonizing somebody, if I start saying that this person is evil and they've done all this bad stuff and somebody should do something about it or whatever else, statistically, if only 0.1% of my audience is not all there mentally, which is a statistically sound assumption to make. Like, some percentage of the population is deeply deranged and has deep issues that need to be worked out, right? So even if 0.1% of my audience is in that place in their lives, in their heads, it only takes one. It only takes one person. If my audience is 350,000 people, if my audience is 350,000 people and only 0.1% are not all there mentally and are willing to do crazy things, that's 350 people. That's 350 people in my audience. If only 10% of those 350 people in my audience have the means and the motive and the opportunity, like they own guns or whatever, they live in the area, it's a recipe for disaster. And that is exactly how it played out with Bill O'Reilly and Dr. Tiller. Now scale that up. Eric Greitens does a political ad where he's going rhino hunting, telling people to get their rhino hunting pass or their rhino hunting license or whatever on his website. At the end of the ad, he said that. There's no bagging limit. There's no tagging limit. Get your license on my website, and we'll keep going until we get America back. That is full-blown stochastic terrorism at best. This may be... I think this crossed right into full-blown domestic terrorism. In my opinion, we're reaching that point now. So my point here is there is a line, right? There's a line between yelling fire in a crowded theater or direct calls like, I want somebody to do this or do that. There's a difference between that and stochastic terrorism, which is just demonizing somebody until statistically it's likely that somebody in your audience is going to do something crazy. Legally speaking, I think you're not allowed to directly call for violence. I think that's actually against the law, and you can get in a lot of trouble for it. But you can't be charged for stochastic terrorism, as far as I know. I've never seen a case of that before. In my opinion, you should be able to be charged, or at the very least sued, for inciting stochastic situations. I don't think people should be allowed to get away with demonizing people the way that, say, Donald Trump has, and ruining their lives, making the FBI get involved, making them look behind every corner for fear somebody's going to come out and do something to them. It's deeply, deeply wrong. And Trump was the king of stochastic terrorism. And here we have Eric Greitens following in his footsteps. What Eric Greitens did, I don't know if it's illegal or not, but it's right on the edge. It's right on the border between stochastic and outright incitement. Honestly, I don't know if I'll ever find out if this was legal or not, because I don't think he'd be charged either way, being a higher up government official. Anyway, let's keep listening to Morning Joe and hear what else they had to say, because like I said, this clip with Morning Joe, it becomes relevant in a second.
I tried to bring this up, and there were a couple of people that were being polite yesterday going, well, you know, maybe we shouldn't call it fascism, and I don't know whether it's fascism. This is using violence and violent imagery to basically tell people, vote for me, a civil war's coming.
I agree with Joe, by the way. I agree with Joe completely. Joe, the guy speaking, he is, I think, a Republican. Joe Scarborough is his name. And he has a show with his co-host, Mika Brzezinski. And there's a loud car outside. Give him a second. There's a posse, apparently, of cars passing. Roving about. Anyway, Mika Brzezinski's the Democrat. Joe is the Republican. I think that's their whole bit. The loud cars are still passing. Anyway, let's keep watching. Okay, I'm just going to play it because I'm on a separate audio track.
You know, it's where we are. It's where the Republican Party is right now. And every Republican needs to call this out unless they want fascism to continue to rise in their party.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. The point I was making about Joe being a Republican, though, it surprises me that he's talking about fascism in the first place. I don't. Maybe he switched parties at this point. Who knows? But you know, Republicans generally don't like to acknowledge it when fascism appears. They don't like to talk about the fact that fascism is here in America. But he's right. This is totally, absolutely, 100% fascism. That's what this is. There's no other way to look at this. Nothing else to call it. It's authoritarianism, it's fascism, it's extremism. That's where we're at right now. So anyways, So anyways, Eric Greitens goes on Steve Bannon's show to talk about the ad and how it went. Talk about Morning Joe addressing it. Listen to this. Late June 2022 is when he went on this. Let me just check. Yeah. Check it out.
And you know what? I would happily accept an invitation and be happy to go on with Joe and Mika to debate all of those issues. And the reason why they engage in name calling against me, the reason why they engage in name calling against President Trump, the reason why they engage in name calling against all of the true America First candidates and all of the true MAGA leaders is because they can't actually debate on the issues.
See, now he's trying to paint himself as some bastion of freedom of speech. We can resolve all of our problems with our words. That's not what he's trying to do in the ad. He is setting out, or he is trying to convince people that the only way that this problem can be solved is through guns. That's what the ad was all about. Suddenly he wants to use words and pretend they're being unreasonable because they won't use words. In my opinion, I know this is controversial. A lot of people don't feel this way or believe this or whatever else. When you bring violence into the conversation, that should be the end of it. There's no more conversation to be had with you. It should come to an abrupt end. I'm not discussing anything with Eric Greitens, and no one else should either. He brought violence into the conversation. It's over now. You have delegitimized yourself in every conversation you have moving forward because you've shown yourself to have an interest in solving problems through violence. And that is an unacceptable solution in my eyes. So, no, Eric, you're not a bastion of free speech. You are so upset at other people's free speech that you are willing to take guns into, you're willing to make an advertisement about going rhino hunting over it. There is no legitimacy left to what this guy has to say at this point. Oh, that was the end of the video. Okay. All right. A couple of minutes later, he comes out and he says this on Bannon's show. Listen to this next clip.
There's one thing about being provocative. There's another thing about crossing a line. Do you believe, in hindsight, now that it's out, you've seen all the controversy, but you've also seen the traffic I'm sure it's driven to your campaign site, when you balance provocative versus maybe I crossed the line here, where does Eric Greitens come out?
Steve Bannon likes to pretend to be, you know, a centrist when he asks questions. Like, I don't even see the point in pretending. Steve Bannon is not a centrist by any stretch of the imagination. Steve Bannon is a far-right nutcase. There really is no better way to put it. Just want to make sure everyone's clear on that.
Oh, we're 100% proud of this ad, Steve. We're glad that it's had over 5 million views. And the fact is, all normal people who actually see this ad, they also see that it is a metaphor.
Yeah, I know. It's a metaphor for Republicans in name only. I caught that. Yeah. I didn't think you were actually going hunting for rhinoceri or whatever they are, rhinoceroses. I didn't think you were going hunting for those. I thought you were talking about Republicans in name only. I got the metaphor you're trying to communicate, bud. Was not lost on me. Just, what is wrong with this guy, honestly? How do you get to this point? All right. Listen to this next clip. This is June 22nd. This is MSNBC's continued coverage of the situation. They got his Democratic opponent on to talk about the ad and about Eric Greitens himself. Check it out. I think this is this Dana Bash? I'm not sure who this is.
Eric Greitens is now running for the Senate, and he's running a web ad showing armed men in tactical gear in search of so-called rhinos. Joining me now is Marine veteran Lucas Coons, who's running for the Democratic Senate nomination in Missouri.
Oh, that reminds me. In search of rhinos, yeah. Eric Greitens actually claimed to be a Navy SEAL, I believe. If I remember correctly, the guy isn't even a Navy SEAL, right? Hang on. No, maybe he was. Yeah, I guess he was a Navy SEAL. Yeah. Okay, never mind. I feel like there's like some misuse of Navy SEAL imagery or something. I don't remember exactly what the deal was, but anyway, keep listening.
Missouri. Well, tell me your reaction to the Greitens ad. We are not playing it. It's on the web, but a number of the tech companies have refused to play it as well because of fears of what it might inspire. There's enough.
Understandable. Absolutely. Yeah, that's... I was going to play it myself. I decided not to because these other news networks decided not to, so I guess responsibility or whatever.
Fears of what it might inspire. There's enough political violence out there, I would assume you'd agree with that.
Absolutely. And, here's the thing, this guy, you read off his crimes, right? He is a criminal. This ad is no surprise. The guy's assaulted people, including his wife and kids, and he's stolen from his veterans charity. This is Eric Greitens showing his true colors. And what we need to make sure we do is we cannot let the Eric Greitens of the world own the discussion. He's a literal criminal, and we have to fight back. When I was in the Marine Corps, we were not trained to look the other way when there was a threat. We faced that threat head on, and we eliminated it. And we have done a response against him. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to fight back against this guy because that is what the working people of this state absolutely deserve.
That's interesting, right? So I got to thinking to myself, what's all this about criminality? Hang on. Wait. Hold on. Nope, that's not the one. Okay, here we go. So I looked it up. And sure enough, the dude does have a criminal record. How about that, right? Let's just take a quick glance through his Wikipedia page just to see, what's going on with all that. Wikipedia is not the best source, but it's a good source finder. So they have these citations here. You can click on them and follow it to like news reports of the whole situation. So I'm comfortable reading from this Wikipedia page knowing that I can access the sources here. As it turns out, the guy was charged and indicted for all kinds of crazy stuff. Listen to this. On January 10th, 2018, ahead of an investigative report released by St. Louis CBS affiliate KMOV the same evening, Greitens publicly disclosed that he had engaged in an extramarital affair with his hairstylist, who only identifies herself as KS. This is coming from a family values candidate, right? This happened in 2015. He and his wife issued a joint statement in which he acknowledged the affair, called it a deeply personal mistake, and that we dealt with it together honestly and privately. Okay, you know what? It's hypocritical because it's coming from a family values candidate. But if he and his wife worked this out between them, who am I to air their dirty laundry? Except it doesn't end there, of course. KMOV played a recording made by the hairstylist's then-husband in which she said that Greitens had invited her to his home, where she had consented to having her hands taped to exercise rings above her head. Wow, I don't know if I can read all of this. She was blindfolded. In the recording, the hairstylist added that while she was blindfolded, Greitens took pictures of her without her consent and threatened to share them if she ever went public with the affair. She alleges Greitens told her, "You're not going to mention my name. Don't even mention my name to anybody at all, because if you do, I'm going to take these pictures and I'm going to put them everywhere I can. They're going to be everywhere, and then everyone will know what a little blank you are." She tried to leave, but reported to a special investigative committee on oversight of the Missouri House of Representatives that Greitens pulled her into a bear hug, common abuse tactic, intimidation tactic, so that she was now lying on the basement floor crying. She further testified that Greitens then coerced her into doing other things. I can't read all of that. Anyway, there's a lot more to this. There's also an indictment for privacy violations and a bunch of other stuff. The guy is... I don't know how the guy is even a candidate for anything political right now. How is it that you can try to overthrow democracy or get 16 felonies on your record or whatever, corruption charges, you're impeached from office or whatever, anything, and you can run again? How is it possible that there are basically no restrictions on what you're allowed and not allowed to do? No restrictions on what will keep you out of office. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me. Eric Greitens is obviously an absolutely terrible person. The political ad is just the icing on the cake. The guy has done monstrous things and been indicted for them. Indicted. And he's still a candidate for senator. We have to get out there and vote for the Democratic candidate. And if you can, find other ways to support him. If you can't afford to donate, then phone bank for him. If you're in the area, do door knocking for him. Whatever you can. We've got to keep this guy out of office because this kind of political extremism is spreading. We have to do everything we can to stop it at the source. Anyway. I mean, here's my question. Should we bar people from running for office who act like this, who do things like this? I don't see any way of actually accomplishing that, but if we could, should there be tests in place to prevent people from running for office? And if so, what should those tests be? Right now, there are no tests or preventions for anybody, practically, to run for office. Like, anybody can, for any reason. You need absolutely no qualifications. Should there be qualifications? Let me know what you think in the comments. Anyway, all right, let me take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Pastor Robin Bullock refusing to give up on the idea that he was right. Trump was definitely ordained by God to be president in 2020. So give us 30 seconds, and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Telltale Channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media: Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. Welcome back. Let me go get some AJ real quick. Hang on. I'll be right back. Backsies. And I got cheese too. Cheese is the best. I'm getting back to the super chats, City Rail dude. Give me a second. I read super chats at the end of each segment. There's a good kitty down here, getting her head scratched. Now we're back. She's going, murr, like that, real quiet, like, murr. I think it's called a trill. Okay, sweet. Let's see here. Where was I on the super chats? City Rail dude, some people think that blasphemy against the Holy Spirit means using God's name to do evil. What do you make of that, especially with regards to televangelists who know that they're lying? It's interesting. I don't know. I know that the old Jews, like from the Old Testament, believed that saying God's name at all was a huge risk and you just shouldn't say it. There was a big superstition about it back then. And for that reason, they basically removed all mentions of the Tetragrammaton and replaced it with Lord instead. The Jewish people were the ones writing most of the books, or most of the Bibles. They were the ones producing them at the time. This is between the year 0 CE and 1000 CE, say. Or maybe, yeah, from 0 CE all the way up to the first edition of the King James Version of the Bible, basically. Jews were the ones that were producing them. Or they were the sources, the original sources at least. And they removed all mentions of the Tetragrammaton all the way through. And when King James first had the Bible commissioned, he was trying to find the original name and came across the pronunciation Jehovah as a result of the name Yahweh, which is actually what it was, passing through Germanic regions and getting morphed and changed over time. So anyway, there's a lot more to the story than that, but I'm not going to get into it right now. Anyways, the point here is, I guess I would say the original Jews thought that just saying God's name at all was the blasphemy. So I would go with their interpretation because they did it first. I mean, that's my take on it. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what the original Bible writers intended by blasphemy. I don't know what they meant when they said that. But I would go with the original interpretation by the people from that era, which was just don't say the name. So anyway. Duran Childs, they trying to force us to live under these laws that the Bible borrows from the Babylonians. We should live reason and logic, not ancient laws. Yeah, absolutely agree, 100%. I don't know why anybody is using the Bible as a moral basis. The Bible is so vast, has so many verses that back up so many different contradictory positions. There's no way to possibly base your moral values on the Bible. If you have a moral value, you can back that value up with Bible verses. It's not possible to use the Bible as an objective source of morality because there's so many different positions in it. But they'll say they do anyway, so. And yeah, I don't know why we would want to anyway. It's just bizarre stuff, man. Bizarre stuff. City Rail Dude, as an Orthodox, we have radically different perspectives of hell to Protestants and Catholics. We believe it's metaphorical. I also have experiences with non-religious cults. Do you have an email address? I do. telltalemailbag@gmail.com. I used to write it in the description, but no longer because people were like sending spam to me, basically. Like just signing me up for newsletters and stuff, and it was annoying. So anyway, yeah, it's telltalemailbag@gmail.com. Katie Rochelle, thank you so much. Just went to watch the ad. That is horrifying. Yeah, tell me about it. It is. It's deeply horrifying, honestly. Michael Chang, welcome. My 2 siblings and I were almost aborted before my parents made sure they were ready before they had any of us. I support abortion still. If the parents aren't ready, it can't be good for the child. Yeah, absolutely. Cannot be good for the child if the parent's not ready. After a certain point, I don't think it should be done under most circumstances unless it's like a health thing. But, in the first 10 weeks, it's just a set of cells, nothing more, nothing less. And there's no reason to be nervous about it. I am pro-abortion, personally. Dan Yeager, welcome and thanks. Just finished Scarred about escaping NXIVM cult. It's a scientific breakdown, but it fit the bite model so well. Interesting. I have to check that out. I haven't seen that. I do know of NXIVM. I'll have to check into that a little bit more. That's crazy. City Rail Dude, have you stopped the super chats? Okay, yeah, I got that one. Alex Baranowski, working on draft 8 of my dissertation proposal right now. Oh, that's cool. Congratulations. I didn't know that you were doing a dissertation. That sounds pretty interesting. 16th Doc, did you see someone is posting his queue again? No! Oh my god, I didn't. Hold on. Let me look this up. Oh my god, I need to cover this. I had no idea. Shall we play a game once more? Posted the Q account to 8kun for the first time in over a year and a half. The post was signed Q. Oh, wow. Oh my god, I need to cover this in more detail. I had no idea. Thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. This is absolutely nutty stuff, dude. Honestly, if you don't know about this whole thing, if you're unfamiliar, we are pretty confident, we as in like news reporting community or society in general, we're pretty confident, or maybe cult researchers or something. We're confident we know who Q is. We We believe that it started out as Paul Ferber and Tracy Beans Diaz originally. When it moved to 8chan, away from 4chan, we think that it was taken over by Ron Watkins, who is now running in Arizona to be a representative there. No guarantees of any of this. Of course, I can't verify any of it. It's just speculation mostly, but it's speculation with decent evidence. I'm comfortable saying it. That's just my opinion. Don't sue me for defamation. Anyway, yeah, I should cover this more. That's absolutely nutty, dude. Apparently there was another post. It had to be done this way. And are you ready to serve your country again? Remember your oath. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. I had no idea. There's a siren in the background. Give it a second to go away. Ned Finn, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. I live in St. Louis. Very, very familiar with this POS. Oh, wow. That's crazy, man. I don't know, man. We're in a rough spot in the country right now, but fear not. The next story I'm going to be covering in a second is more entertaining than sad. So there's that. Whatever. Of course, we have the capability to investigate candidates, just like those who get security clearances and have to have clean reputations to work in their fields. We absolutely should do it. Yeah, I agree with you, but for some reason we can't manage to pull it together and pass that legislation. Not only do I think we should create, tests, make candidates pass a civics test, make them pass the immigration test. That is a notoriously difficult test. If you can't pass an immigration test, you're not well-versed enough, not well-informed enough in how the government operates to be a member of it. That's my take. Make them pass an immigration test if they want to be in government. And also, allow felons to vote. Why can't felons or incarcerated people vote? Who came up with that bizarre rule? Let them vote. They're in this country too, whether you like that or not. They're a part of it, and the things that happen affect them too. They should be allowed to vote. Anyway, it's a state-by-state thing. Some states allow felons to vote in jail. Like, they'll send ballots around in jail, allow you to vote. In New York, you're allowed to vote if you have been released from prison. If you're convicted of a felony and your sentence is suspended, as in you're on probation, you can vote. That's really interesting. So a lot of states allow it, but some don't. And I think that should be federally allowed, in my opinion. Anyway. All right, I'll tell you. Let me reset my cameras, and we'll hit the next story, story number 3. Oh, got another super chat. Pat in the chat. I mean, if criminals can run for office, criminals should be able to vote too. Absolutely. I don't get it. Why are we stopping this? Doesn't make any sense. We should stop criminals from running, though. Okay. Awesome. Amazeballs. Trying to take that back. I will take it back. This guy is something else. This is one Nutter Butter peanut butter sandwich cookie, if I do say so myself. Okay, let's see here. The naturalization test is only 100 easy questions. You sure? Maybe naturalization, but the immigration test... Yeah, I'm just not super well-versed, but I remember... I was working with somebody who came from Colombia, and she was an intern at my office when I was a software engineer, and she was trying to take the citizenship test, it was fucking hard. It was a hard test. I mean, I knew many of the answers because I'm so steeped in politics 24/7, but you got to know in great detail exactly how the government operates. And I would say the vast majority of Americans don't. To become a U.S. citizen, I studied 100 questions and was only asked 6. Oh, interesting. Well, anyways, I remember the process was difficult for her anyways. All right, let's see. Just check a couple things, make sure everything is working properly. I think I'm good. Okay. All right. This is Robin Bullock, and he's been singing the same tune about Trump for 2 years now. He seems to believe that the guy is the new Messiah. Listen to this clip. It's from early August 2021. It'll put his ideas into perspective for you. Let me fix my microphone. I feel like it's not right. And you know me, OCD about it. All right, that'll do. Oop.
I was standing in a live service, and you know how the Lord will just speak, and he'll just speak to me like
Totally, I know. Yeah, absolutely. It's happened to me a billion times.
that, and I'm just standing there, and when I started giving this prophetic word, and when I turned around and looked, I just turned my head, and the Lord let me know that the decision has been made. Whatever's going to happen, whenever he's going to do this, whatever Trump's going to do, when it's going to happen, has been decided now.
Oh, interesting. Okay. August 2021, the Lord decided whatever he was going to decide about Donald Trump. At this point in time, Trump had been out of office for 8 months. 9 months previously, he had attempted to maintain his presidency by running an insurrection against the U.S. government, but that's neither here nor there. So about 8 months later, Robin Bullock believes that the Lord has made a decision about what's going to happen with Trump next. Go on.
It's not going to be decided. He's already decided. So this whole thing, you're about to see a rapid unfolding. I'll tell you something else too that I heard.
We're about to see a rapid unfolding. Okay. Well, again, this clip is from this is basically a year old by now, right? This clip. Where's the rapid unfolding? I'm waiting. I've been waiting all this time. I've been waiting since November 2020. You said to me Trump was ordained by God to be president in 2020 and that it was a guarantee that he was going to take the presidency because those were God's wishes, right? 8 months later, after that, 8 months after Trump's removed from office, you're sitting here telling me that some big thing is about to happen in rapid succession, i.e. Trump is going to be reinstalled as president. That's what I take that to mean. What happened? I thought he's going to be president again. Where's he at?
Something else too that
Hold on. Is it back here?
About to see a rapid unfolding. I'll tell you something else too that I heard the Lord.
Please do.
Say, and I haven't told this anywhere.
Okay.
That I'm not, unless the Lord tells me a specific date of something, I don't say that. But if he tells me, I'll tell you. And but I know something. And now I'm not saying I know what yet because he hasn't showed me that. But he quickened my spirit. Something is really about to happen this month in August.
Oh, that's specific. I love it. So did anything happen in August of 2021 to get Trump closer to being the president again? No, it didn't. This guy lives in a fantasy land, plain and simple. I will be damned if it's not entertaining as hell to watch. I'll be damned if it's not entertaining as hell to watch this guy live in his fantasy land, though.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a setup for something else that's coming. But I think from August all the way through, say November, you better keep heads up big. Because when it starts, whatever's going to happen is going to happen like this. And then it's going to be a rapid succession of things.
That's going to be really good.
Yeah, but I know something's up in August. Now, I'm not sure what that is yet.
Nothing, as it turns out. It was nothing. This guy was giving you a prophecy from the Lord. A prophecy from on high. The words that he just spoke might as well have been written in a new Bible book. That's how seriously he takes this. Okay, and this guy's a televangelist. He's not a nobody. He's got a big audience. He believes, people believe what he has to say on this subject. And he believes that Donald Trump is supposed to be the president of the United States in 2020. He believes, or at least believed, that Trump was going to be reinstated before 2024. I mean, August 2021, the guy believed that Trump was going to be reinstated in the next, few months. That's where we're at right now with these people. Okay, so this one was August 2021, right? What's happening now? What's happening with the January 6th hearings taking place? How is he reacting to this whole situation? Listen to this, late June 2022. This is after some of the January 6th hearings have happened. Hang on.
I remember somebody very well known in the prophetic world, I mean very well known, asked me on the phone, said, do you think that Trump will win? I said,
win what? Yeah, I assume he's talking about 2024, right? If he runs, I mean, technically he hasn't even announced he's running in 2024 yet. I'm sure he probably will, unless he's charged.
I said, yes. I said, whether anybody knows it or not, I'm not sure yet.
So Robin Bullock believes he has special insight, special information granted to him by God Almighty. Because Trump isn't talking to this guy. Trump doesn't even know this guy, okay? He believes that he got this information from God Almighty. God is telling Robin Bullock that Donald Trump is going to run and win in 2024. Of course, he told him he was going to run and win in 2020 also, and we saw how that turned out, so there's that.
That's what I said. And then prophets started saying, it's a landslide, it's a landslide. They didn't miss that. There was a landslide.
Interesting. Okay, so, yeah. Robin Bullock and Kat Kerr, as a matter of fact, both said Trump was going to win in a landslide. And he didn't. He did not win in a landslide by any stretch of the imagination. Even if Trump had won the states that Biden actually won, you know, Georgia, Pennsylvania, all the swing states. If Trump had won the swing states, it still probably wouldn't have been a landslide. I wouldn't even necessarily call Biden's victory a landslide against Trump. I mean, it was good, but landslide? I don't know. It wasn't landslide good, in my opinion. Nobody got a landslide in 2020, okay? That's the incorrect word to use.
But a landslide is when everything comes off the hill down to the bottom, and it takes a while to dig out of a landslide.
Ah, I see. So he got his prophecy wrong about calling it a landslide, and now he's trying to explain that away, trying to justify it and redefine words to make it make sense. Okay.
There's a lot of debris happens in a landslide. You do understand that these people's mamas were snakes.
Whose moms were snakes? I don't understand.
Talking about these wicked politicians that came in and stole what they stole. Their mamas, they're a generation of vipers.
Okay, well, if you want me to believe that anybody stole something, you're going to have to give me evidence, and you haven't yet. No evidence has been turned up that shows that the 2020 election could have been given to Donald Trump because of fraud. There is no systemic fraud on a level big enough to have flipped the election. There's no systemic fraud, period. There's no fraud on a level, at a level high enough to have flipped the election. This is just Fantasyland thinking. It didn't happen.
They've learned from those who trained them. And they just live in piles of swarms. And if they need to, they eat each other. But the prophets didn't miss it.
Yes, they did. They did. The prophets missed it. The prophets, as in Robin Bullock, Hank Kunneman, Kat Kerr, Johnny Enlow, Kenneth Copeland, Nathan French, do I need to go on? These so-called prophets, these televangelists, I mean, that's who these people are. They're televangelists, claimed that God gave them a message. God told them that Donald Trump was going to win the 2020 election in a landslide. He didn't. Not only did he not win in a landslide, he straight up didn't win at all. And if you want us to believe that the election was stolen from Trump, first of all, you're going to have to give us evidence of that. And second, how is it that God is so weak that some people can overturn his will? I thought he was the most powerful being in the universe. How is it that Joe Biden seems to be more powerful than God? I thought even Satan himself wasn't more powerful than God. Even if Satan was standing behind this whole plot, God still should have been able to make Trump the president, right? Even their claims that the election was flipped by Satan don't make any sense. But, you know, this landslide thing that he's saying here, this is really familiar. Listen to this. This is late June 2019. This is Kat Kerr. She's another televangelist type person. She calls herself a prophet, and she's extremely influential in forming out the curriculums of Christian private schools. She's very high up in this world. Very well known, very reputable. She may not have much of a congregation of her own. I'm not sure how big her congregation is, but she's extremely influential among people like this guy right here and like other televangelists. Extremely influential. So listen to what she said about Trump, late June 2019.
So I declare the upcoming election in 2020, the one you have chosen, will win in a landslide. You will show your favor over that administration and give them new things to do to help our country be greater than it ever was before. And God, because I care, I pray for the other side. The blinders will be taken off their eyes. They will stop hating.
Dude, does she do this through her entire, sermon or whatever? Every 3 words that she says, people have to repeat those words. This would be insufferable. How do people manage to, maintain membership in this church?
They will start loving. That they will benefit from this whole thing. Because this is your plan. And we want your man. So help the others, God, because we're running our race. Your will, your way. Hallelujah.
Okay, so that was the whole clip. That was pretty clear. You know, there's no misinterpreting what she said. She said Trump was going to win in a landslide. Now, that was a prayer, but she actually said it in prophecy, full-blown prophecy. Like, God gave her this message to pass down to the rest of humanity, pass down to churches and government and church members. This is, it doesn't get more clear than this. It's pretty explicit, okay? Watch how she reacted when Trump lost, November 2020. This is right when we were finding this out, right?
And if you will remember, one of the things he had me say was that Trump would win by a landslide.
One of the things God had Kat Kerr tell people, the rest of society, is that Trump is going to win in a landslide. This is prophecy that she gave people.
Okay. Now, in man's mind, in their human mind, they already put together what they think that means.
Right.
But many times, as we know in the Word, or even just from experience ourselves, especially as a prophet, that doesn't ever mean what man thinks it means.
Oh my God. Is she about to redefine the word landslide?
Those who have been perpetrating the lie, have been paid to commit lies or stealing or cheating, will begin to get very nervous. They're actually already nervous. And let me tell you, conviction is going to come upon some of them in the lower levels. That's what he meant about the landslide. The smaller rocks move first, which pulls the bigger ones down.
Yep. She's going to redefine the word landslide.
And that's what he meant when he said Trump will win by a landslide. So there you go. That's the difference between revelation and what man in their head thinks that means.
Wow. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. That sounds pretty familiar. What was it Robin Bullock said?
Landslide.
Hold on. It's lagging.
When everything comes off landslide, they didn't miss that. There was a landslide. But a landslide is when everything comes off the hill down to the bottom. And it takes a while to dig out of a landslide. There's a lot of debris happens in a landslide.
Wow. Absolutely incredible. You know, your prophecies were pretty specific, Robin and Kat. They were pretty specific. They didn't mince words. They said Trump was going to win in a landslide because that's what God wanted. They believed that Trump was ordained by God. He was anointed to be the president of the United States. It seems to me, if that's true, God would have ensured that his main man was going to won the presidency, right? Just crazy stuff. Hang on. Let's see. Give me a second here. Yeah. If you aren't convinced that these people view Trump as a new Messiah, if you aren't convinced that they believe that he is anointed by God, watch this one. Mid-November 2021. This is a year after Trump was removed from office, or a year after he lost the election, actually. It was about 11 months after he was removed from office.
And I'm telling, right now I'm saying this, and the Lord would have me start doing this. Get in touch with me, and I can tell you some of these things. If
he's talking to Donald Trump right now. Of course, he doesn't know Donald Trump, obviously, but he's hoping that Trump is just sitting at home, maxing, relaxing, all cool, and watching Robin D. Bullock on TV.
You believe the prophets. Donald Trump, call me. Call me. I'm saying more than people realize right now.
This is like a desperate ex.
But listen to the prophets. Don't let them tell you to not listen to the prophets. I gave a prophetic word on Steve Schultz's program, and it was a word I heard in a conversation. I heard these people talking, and they told the president, I'm talking about President Trump, the president. I'm not talking about the jackal who barks over the desk of the Oval Office. I'm talking about the president.
Wow, he really does not like Joe Biden. It's embarrassing.
I was listening to this conversation, and they said, don't listen to the prophets. Don't listen to the prophets. But the Lord said, don't listen to your advisors about that, because they have their own agenda in mind, and it does not include you. You have to remember, an anointing is in a time.
So, okay. Right there is your evidence. He believes Trump is anointed by God, and the anointing is in a time, right? He thinks that Trump has a time frame to be anointed by God to be the president, and he needs to take it. So how does Trump do it? That's the question, right? How does he do it? Here's what Robin Bullock thinks Trump is ordained and anointed to do. This is how Trump takes back the presidency. He's got a whole plan, okay? Robin Bullock came up with a whole plan so that would let Trump take the presidency back. Like right now, today, all Trump has to do is walk in and sit down in the Oval Office. That's it. He thinks if he does that, God will supernaturally push things out of the way. Secret Service comes in, tells Trump to get out. God will supernaturally push him out of the way. Just like that. I got to find that clip now. Hang on. It was one of the first clips I ever played of Robin Bullock. Yeah. This is, I believe this is March 2021. And the reason that it's from March relates to a QAnon conspiracy theory about this belief that Trump was going to be reinaugurated as the real actual president in March of 2021 because of this pseudo-legal nonsense that they believed, blah, blah, blah. Middle. Robin Bullock comes on stage and he says this in March to Trump.
The stage is set. Everything is set. But you're going to have to pray for the rightful president, whether he wants to walk back into this or not. You must pray that he wants to do it.
This is after Biden was already inaugurated and had been president for 2 months already at this point, or maybe a month and a half.
Because God won't make him do anything. Is it his will? Yes. Is he the president? Yes. That's why he could just walk right back in. And God will supernaturally move things out of the way.
Just like that. That's his plan. That's all Trump's got to do. Walk into the Oval Office, and just like that, God will supernaturally move things out of the way for him. But he's just got to do it. He's just got to stand up and walk back into the Oval Office. I would love, oh my God, I would die to see this. I would just die to see Trump walk into the Oval Office and sit down at the Resolute desk. I would love it. I would eat it up. Please, Trump, do it. Listen to the prophets. I want to see this. I need to see this before I die. I must.
There is a time for the anointing to be president. If you run that time out, that anointing will lift. It'll lift. You can't wait. You have to operate when the power of God is there to operate. Don't be concerned about riots. Riots are going to happen whether you come back or not. They're going to happen whether Donald Trump runs for president or is president or walks in the office. The riots are going to happen anyway.
This is funny, honestly. This is so unhinged and deranged and confusing and bizarre. I eat this up. I love it to death. This is the strangest shit I've seen in a while.
Don't worry about all of that. Operate in the power of God and let him pave your way. One step toward that, your position, and God will open the way all the way back. After I gave a word similar to that, a very important person called me and said, "You have no idea how right you are." He said, "I listened. I know one of his close advisors, and they told him, don't run in 2024.
Sound advice. I don't think it's a good idea at all.
Don't run again. You'll mess it up for all of us." He said, "You were on." Because I know I was on. I heard the conversation. I heard them talking.
Okay, Robin Bullock believes that he was doing, what do they call this? Astral projecting or something? Like some kind of he was in the spirit and was overhearing like a phone call with Donald Trump and somebody else or something like that. In reality, the guy just has a dream that he heard Trump saying something and now he believes that it's fact. Because he believes himself to be a prophet of God and God gives him prophetic dreams.
And I'm going to tell the president something. Donald John Trump, You were anointed from the day you were born to be president. And you were brought on the scene for such a time as this.
Wow, is that the end? I guess that's the end. I was waiting for more. That is unhinged on so many levels. I don't even know what to do with it. I told you guys, he believes him to be the Messiah. He believes him to be the Messiah. Seriously. These people are completely disconnected from reality. They don't live in the same world as us anymore. They have this idea of how things work, and they're going to die on this hill, believing that that is, in fact, how it works. They will do anything to continue to live in their delusional world. I mean, will they ever wake up to reality with the rest of us? I don't know, but I have to say it is entertaining as hell to watch them try to, like, work out the math in their head for how Trump could still be president and how he could take it back. It is so entertaining to watch them, like, try to do this calculus to figure out how they can get their way, when in reality, they simply can't. Anyway, let's see. So here's my question for you. Do you think a religion is going to form around Donald Trump when he dies? I don't think so. In my opinion, I think that he will be revered, but I don't think that people are going to hold remembrance services for him. Not the second generation at the very least. I think it would have to survive an extra generation to actually turn into a real full-blown religion. I think people would have to have some reason to attach to him after he died for it to continue on to another generation. But it sure as hell is definitely a cult at this point, without a shadow of a doubt. And it's definitely gotten itself worked into evangelical Christianity at this point, too. Anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. All right, let me take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Lauren Boebert holding a campaign event at a church. So give us 30 seconds, and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Telltale Channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media: Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. Welcome back. Just opening the next clip. I'm going to be a little bit late to Twitch, but that's okay. I'm going to be probably 15 minutes late to Twitch, maybe 20 minutes late. I guess I could start streaming on Twitch. No, I'll just wait. I'll wait. I'll start streaming on Twitch at about 11:20, 11:30 probably. Anyway. Okay, sweet. It's because we had some awesome super chats. I always like taking extra time to hit the interesting super chats. Okay, let's see. What do we got for super chats here? Trick Simpson, I live in the UK, and more often than not, I know more about the workings of America and its government than most Americans I've ever spoken to. Yeah, I know. It's sad. Americans don't seem to have a good grip on how their own government works. I took a civics class in high school. I was a Jehovah's Witness at the time, so completely uninvolved in politics by mandate. I wasn't allowed to be involved. But I had an idea of how it worked, 3 branches of government and stuff. A lot of people can't even name the 3 branches of government here. And that's sad, dude. At this point, I know the ins and outs of the government to a crazy degree because this is my job, covering this stuff. So I understand it really, really, really well. Probably better than most. Better than the vast majority of Americans, I'd say. Anyway, thank you for the super chat. It's sad that Americans are so ignorant about how their government works. I don't know much about the UK government, though. I know a little bit, but not much. Mr. QTube, first name Fa. So God's plan could be unraveled by some man-made voting machines? Okay. That's what they believe. Apparently, God is so weak that somebody as weak as Joe Biden can defeat him, can reverse prophecy. That's really what they believe. I mean, Robin Bullock has come out and said that. He's said those words. It must be a terrible burden to reverse prophecy the way that Joe Biden did. That's what he said. Let me just see if I can find it really quickly. If I can't, then I'm just going to move on. Yeah, here it is. It's right here. Yeah, this is the clip I was thinking of. Hold on, I just got it. I'm OCD. I know I don't have a lot of time, but I have to get this exact. Okay.
And the Lord told me, he said, now the fight has left the heavens and it's in the earth. Now we are in a full-on spiritual war. On the 6th, it was still in the heavens, but after that day, it dropped into the earth.
On January 6th, it dropped from heaven to earth, the spiritual fight for who's going to be the president.
What we would call an administration is not one at all. There is no administration right this moment in the White House. Now, I'm just telling you straight up, there's not one there. Now, you say, well, what are you talking about, Brother Robin? That sounds crazy. Well, I'm about to explain myself. I didn't know I was going to be talking about all this today until the Lord said I was. There's not an administration in the White House or in the Capitol.
Oh,
when the war...
Hang on, let me fix my cameras. 1 second. Forgot to reset them.
Administration in the White House or in the Capitol. When the war left the heavens and came to the ground, this so-called administration is actually a regime whose sole purpose is to stop a prophecy from coming to pass. That's what it is. People say, well, you can't see that this man is the president now. No, this man is not the president. He's sitting in the seat, but that's not who he is. And now this whole, what men are calling an administration, is to do nothing. Its sole purpose is to keep the prophecy that the prophets gave, that the rightful president would be in office again. And this whole thing is to keep that from happening.
That is unhinged shit, dude. How did he get to this point that he believes Biden is so powerful that he can actually reverse prophecy? Dude is just an old man. Does he believe him to be a demon? Yes. Yes, he does. He thinks that Biden is a demon in human skin. Seriously. So that's where Robin Bullock's at. That's how he feels about the January 6th hearings. That's the whole 9 yards. That's crazy. Anyway. Where was I? James Crestgy, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it. City Rail Dude, God determining the results of a fair election contradicts free will. God can't decide the results of a fair elections and claim to be pro-free will. The people will vote for who they want, not God. Yeah, fair point. They're always talking about how God can't intervene in certain things because if he did, then it would take free will away or whatever else, right? Why can't we apply that exact same argument to this situation? I don't understand how people like Robin Bullock are not, like, how they're drawing these conclusions. I don't understand. How did he get here? His whole theology is nonsense from the ground up. It is hard not to poke holes in it at this point. Now that he's integrated Trump into it, it's even more ridiculous. It just blows my mind. I mean, he certainly has people calling him out and stuff, right? Is he not, like, hearing these criticisms? I just don't get it. Sam, stoked to catch the live after work. Wait, stoked to catch the live after work. Thanks for everything. Much love from Boston. I appreciate that. Thank you for coming. Glad you made it. Pat in the chat. Obviously, God forgot to mention it to Trump, right? Well, God's mentioning it through the prophets, you know, to see if Trump would just listen to the prophets, which is to say, if Trump would just listen to God's word, then he would know that he's just supposed to waltz right into the White House, unencumbered. Crazy, man. Dallas Gerald's, I think Trump basically already has his own religion, but I don't believe some kind of new religion will form. Yeah, I agree. I think it's more like Trump has a cult surrounding him, and people have worked him into their active theology. But I think he'll be forgotten in a generation, in my opinion. Unless he was like sainted or something by Catholicism where people actively pray to him, I don't think a religion will form around him. Like full-blown Donald Trump religion that's disconnected from others. I don't know. I guess time will tell, right? Well, I'll probably get to live long enough to find out if Trump really does get a religion dedicated to him. Absolutely insane. All that jazz. I think they'll form conspiracy theories about how Trump isn't really dead, but I don't think the conspiracies will survive to the next generation. Agreed. Yeah, I don't think so either. Well, I guess we'll see. I guess time will tell, right? Anyway, I'll tell you what. All right. Yeah, let me reset my cameras. I was thinking about going over to Twitch now, but I'll stick around on YouTube a little bit longer, and then I'll go to Twitch. So give me just a second to reset, and then I'll hit the next story. Okay, I got to keep this story short, though, because I'm already 30 minutes behind. At least 30 minutes. All right, let's see here. Hang on. All right. Lauren Boebert has always been ultra-religious, but it looks like she's putting extra effort in right now to erode the separation between church and state, which is already weak to begin with. She came out on stage late June 2022, and she said this. Check this clip out.
I love the Constitution because it highlights we the people, and we the people are we the church. And
okay, is she saying she believes the Constitution was referring strictly to Christian church members when it talks about we the people? That is a fantasy land if I have ever heard of one. That is complete nonsense. It was talking about the people in the United States. It explicitly said in the Constitution, you can't, what was it? It said, there won't be any religious tests or any of that stuff. Then there will be a separation between church and state. The Establishment Clause, First Amendment. How did she miss this? This is Christian nationalism rewriting history. She's trying to make it out as though you can't be a U.S. citizen and an atheist simultaneously. If you want to be a member of, if you want to be a U.S. citizen, you have to be a Christian. That's what she's trying to say here. You can't be an atheist. You can't be a Muslim. You can't be Jewish. You can't be Buddhist. It has to be Christian. It has to be Christian. And that's called Christian nationalism. That's what that is.
people are we the church. And church, this is our year. This is our time to rise up and show forth the goodness of God, the love of God.
So that's what Lauren Boebert had to say about the Constitution recently. Revisionist history at its finest. But I wanted to take a look at some historical stuff because I found this from mid-September 2021 where she went campaigning at a church. She actually held a campaign event and collected donations at Andrew Womack's church. That's illegal, by the way. She hasn't faced any repercussions for it, and neither has Andrew Womack. But that's neither here nor there. Check this out. Mid-September 2021.
Let's praise God for a sister in the Lord being in the Congress.
Thank you.
Are we able to give you an honorarium?
No, you're not. No.
All right, I heard this from Richard, and I just asked her. And we aren't able to give her an honorarium. So,
What's an honorarium? Yeah, I heard that conversation. The woman said, no, we're not. That's weird. What's an honorarium? I don't understand. And why can't they give her one? Why wouldn't they give her one? Has nothing to do with, like, legal red tape, because they're already blatantly violating the law by having her hold a campaign event at their church in the first place. I'm just not really sure what an honorarium is and why they couldn't give her one.
So I asked Lauren if we were able to give her an honorarium, and she said no, and Richard had already told me that. But I've already read, Jamie and I have contributed to her reelection. And I've read that they've got some heavy hitters coming in. A lot of the Democrats are pouring a tremendous amount of money into trying to silence this woman.
Okay, trying to silence this woman? I don't think that's why people are donating against her. But, I'm just going to let that one slide. Whatever. I'm being told in the chat that an honorarium is payment for her speech, basically. Can they pay her for coming to speak? And I guess the answer was no, they can't. I don't think that's illegal for a church to pay somebody to come speak to the congregation, is it? And even if it was against the Johnson Amendment or whatever, they're actually asking their church members to donate to her campaign right now. That's literally what they're doing, and that is explicitly defined in the 501c3 section of tax code, that you're not allowed to do that as a church.
And so what I'd like to ask you to do, how could they contribute if they want to be a part of your deal?
That is against the law, what they're doing here. That's illegal. September 2021, what came of it? Nothing. Big surprise. Absolutely nothing.
LaurenForFreedom.com.
All right, so Lauren for Freedom.
That's what this is all about, freedom.
And, we have over 1,000 people here, and if everybody gave $20, that'd be a good honorarium.
Yes.
And if you could give more, that'd be great. But why don't you just do that on your own, LaurenForFreedom.com, and let's support her and help her. She's on the lines fighting for us, and we need to be a part of what she's doing. Thank you very much. God bless you.
This is such a blessing and an honor. Thank you.
Blatantly illegal, what they just did. Blatantly against U.S. tax code. Andrew Womack should have his tax-exempt status removed. But, interestingly enough, I actually got a few more clips from this whole thing. So I figured we'd take a look at a couple of them, see what else happened. Check this one out. This is from earlier in the night, mid-September 2021. Watch this.
I thank you.
They were praying together, I believe. Lauren Boebert was leading the church in prayer, I think. And weirdly, Andrew Womack is, as the pastor, standing behind her with his hand in the air like he just don't care. Weird.
And I thank you, Lord, that those men and women that have lost their lives in the name of freedom, the 13 that were just lost in Afghanistan, God, you know exactly what those parents are feeling. Because, God, you know what it's like to lose a son. God, you will be glorified.
God doesn't really know what it's like to lose a son, right? Sure, hypothetically speaking, Jesus died, but didn't he come right back to life, and didn't God know that that was going to happen? You can't say you know what it's like to lose a son unless that son is gone for good, seems to me. But okay, I'm listening, I suppose.
God, you will be glorified in all 50 state capitals. I plead the blood of Jesus over those state legislatures, over...
Ew, what's she doing with blood? And why? That's weird.
Over the governors, God, convict their hearts. God, I plead the blood of Jesus over the United States Capitol building.
Dude, why is she so obsessed with, what is it, pleading blood over things? Why? This is weird and creepy and confusing, and I don't understand.
I plead the blood of Jesus over the White House and over the Pentagon. God, the Pentagon is so important and so vital. And there has been evil that has been allowed to creep in. Unwoke these generals, God.
See, this is what happens when church and state mix. This is Christian nationalism right here. This is what happens. This is what you get. Deeply disturbing stuff, honestly. A politician holding an event at a church and praying that God unwoke the generals?
Give them a revelation of what they are truly called to do. God, in the White House, we need you moving. I've been in there and I've prayed. Holy Spirit, I've welcomed you in there, and I know that you are moving in that place. I know that your presence is there. I know that there are angels posted. They are on assignment, and they have not been released of that assignment, so I know that they are there working.
You know what's weird? These people seem to have this weird obsession with calling angels to do things. Like, they seem to believe that they're capable of ordering angels around, to the point that people like Kat Kerr actually wear full camouflage, like, military-style outfits and a little badge in the corner that says Commander Kat on it. Seriously. Because she believes that she is capable of commanding angels, billions, trillions of angels to go do things. Hang on. I was trying to find the clip of it. Give me a second. See if I could find... Hold on. I just want to see if I can find the clip with her wearing the camouflage with Commander Kat on it. Yeah, matter of fact, this clip is called Kat Kerr sends 5 billion angels to save the election for Trump. And she's wearing her camouflage. She's not wearing her Commander Kat pin in this one, but she has it on in other videos. I'm trying to find the one where she wears the pin. There's one other one that I have here where she's... Yeah, I'm not seeing the one with the pin. Weird. Well, anyway, she does have the pin, and it's in my channel trailer if you want to see it. But this is where she called 5 billion angels to save the election for Trump.
Last night I was out there
Wow, that was weird.
Last night I was out there sending 5 billion of them to go worldwide to make a sweep for the next 30 days, 24 hours a day, to expose any unseen, unknown wickedness, evil, cheating, stealing, lying, controlling, whether it was spirits or people or humans, to pull them down and to stop the activities and make it known where it's talked about on television, where it's shown in magazines, where people will see and know what's going on. And I sent 5 billion last night out to go do that, and immediately they went, and they're going to go to every state and then every country, even some that people don't know about yet are about to find out about it.
Wow. Okay, so Kat Kerr is ordering angels around. Hang on. Give me a second. This video fits in here perfectly. And of course, we can't forget that time that old Paula White ordered angels from Africa and South America to save the election.
strike and 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 strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory, God. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of shouting and singing. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done.
Yes, I am going to make you sit through it until she mentions the angels from Africa.
The Lord says it is done. For I hear victory, 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 victory in the corridors of heaven. In the corridors of heaven, victory, 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 victory. For angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda aka ata raka teda bak. For angels have even been dispatched from Africa right now. Africa right now. Africa right now. From Africa right now. They're coming here. They're coming here in the name of Jesus. From South America, they're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here.
Yeah, so that was Paula White. I mean, this is a common theme. They seem to believe that they're capable of ordering angels around and spreading the blood of Jesus all over stuff. Like, please don't put blood on things. Don't do it. Especially not you, Lauren Boebert. Don't spread lamb's blood. Don't spread Jesus' blood. Don't spread blood, okay? Nobody wants it on any chairs or any couches or anything. Just don't do it, please. I'm begging you.
On behalf of you, God, on behalf of the will of your people, God, I've been in the House chambers and the Senate chambers, pleading the blood over each and every seat.
Again with the blood, dude. Please don't do that.
Every row in that building, God. And I have felt your presence in that place. And I know that you are working.
Yeah, so that's Lauren Boebert holding a church event, or holding a campaign event at a church. Deeply disturbing stuff. Listen to this next one. This happened the same night, mid-September 2021 at the church.
When we see Biden address the nation and the world and shows more contempt and aggravation and aggression towards unvaccinated Americans than he has terrorists.
Well, I hate to tell you this, Lauren, but I feel like there's a little bit of overlap in the U.S. right now. That's neither here nor there.
We have a problem, and that's why I have articles of impeachment to impeach Joe Biden, Kamala Harris.
How'd that go for you, Lauren? Did it work? Did you succeed in impeaching them? The sad part about this is if the Republicans do take the House back in November, they may actually try to impeach Biden. They won't succeed. It's mathematically impossible that they would get enough Senate seats to be capable of removing him from office. That's not going to happen. For the same reason that impeaching Clarence Thomas isn't going to happen, because you need a 2/3 majority in the Senate to actually remove somebody from office like that. When it's like the president or a Supreme Court justice, it's simply not happening, for better or worse. It's the same reason why Trump wasn't removed from office either. They just didn't have the seats in the Senate to do so. So you can file articles of impeachment to your heart's content. You're not going to succeed in removing him. Unfortunately, sadly, Trump deserved to be impeached both times. The impeachments were sound. They were built on a solid foundation and justified. But in retaliation, I'm very sure as soon as Republicans take the House back, they're going to start impeaching Biden over and over and over and over again. They're going to rack up as many impeachments as they possibly can just for the hell of it. It's sad.
We cannot take another 3 years of this poor, failed leadership.
Well, I mean, this was September, so at this point it had only been 8 or 9 months since Biden had been in office in the first place. What had been failed at this point? What was failed? I don't understand what she was even complaining about at this point. He had barely spent any time in office at all. He hadn't even been there for a full year yet. Seriously.
We are sons and daughters of revolutionaries. They went to battle for a lot less. They took...
Is this not, like, calling for violence? We're sons and daughters of revolutionaries. They went to battle for a lot less. Is this not calling for violence? Seriously. She goes to a church, holds a campaign event, and calls for violence at the event. How is she not in jail? Or at least removed from office? I don't get it. I mean, we're watching it on screen here. How does Andrew Womack still have tax-exempt status? It makes no sense.
less. They took a stand for a lot less. And it's time we get involved. I need you involved at every local level. I need you speaking up. I need the world to hear your voice. You know the Word of God, and you know that there is power in your words, that the world was framed by words. You have the Lord God Almighty on your side. I need you to use your voice and speak. What if Jesus showed up today and said, from this point forward, everything you say, you will have it? Are we going to agree with what the enemy is doing? Are we going to sit back and complain and murmur? Are we going to speak life into this nation? The church has relinquished too much authority to government.
The church has relinquished too much authority to government? Am I... Okay, so just... I'm trying to understand what she's saying with that. I feel like what she's trying to communicate is the church should be in charge. The church should be stepping in for the government, right? Like the church should be taking the place of the government and getting rid of the government. Am I reading this correctly? This is straight up Christian nationalism. That's what we're listening to right now. She is a Christian nationalist, and if you aren't also a Christian nationalist, you don't belong in this country. She wants the church to control the government. If she thinks the founding fathers would have been on her side, she is living in a fantasy land. The things that she has advocated for, just in the past 15 minutes that we've been talking, are completely antithetical to what the founding fathers wanted. They would have never put up with a politician who spoke like this. And somehow she's still in office. We're hoping that we're going to be able to remove her. We, as in the American people, I'm hoping that we can remove her this election cycle because she's a member of the House, which means she's up for election every 2 years. Cross our fingers and hope for the best. Maybe we can get her out of office. The sad part is there are a lot of other Christian nationalists in government right now. She's probably one of the loudest and most well-recognized. But this is a pervasive problem that isn't going away until we face it head on. Anyway, all right, I'll tell you what. That's where I'm going to stop it for now. Stop the... like the live, or God, not the live stream. Stop the story. Let me reset my cameras, and then I'm going to move over to Twitch. Hang on. Okay, I'm going to read super chats on YouTube, but while I'm reading the super chats, I'm going to start streaming on Twitch. So give me just a second here. I need to change the title of my Twitch stream before actually starting the stream. Okay, done. All right, we're good. And now I'm going to start streaming on Twitch. Start to, save and close. Okay, if you want to go over to Twitch, like I said, I'm staying on YouTube for a second, but it's twitch.tv/telltaleatheist. There you go. Just click on that link. It should take you straight to my Twitch channel, my Twitch stream. I'm live currently at this moment on Twitch, so follow me over there. I have more stories to cover. I'm not done. We're not done on this stream. I'm just doing the rest on Twitch in a minute. So anyway, let's take a look at super chats. Where was I? Hang on, I'm looking for where I left off on Super Chats. I think, yeah, okay, I got that. Mr. QTube, first name Fa. My God, I've read that name like 16 billion times up to now. Like, you've been around in my community for years, I think. And suddenly I'm having trouble reading it. Mr. QTube, first name Fa. Did you know there's a pro-Trump book for kids? I did know that, yes. And I've tried to get my hands on it. But when I tried to get it, I feel I may have tried to get that book like early on in its life cycle when it was first written, and you had to go through some sketchy website to get a copy of it. Like, it required your credit card information and a subscription to something or other. So I tried to get a virtual card, like privacy.com thing or whatever. They wouldn't take it. You had to type in your real card number and your real like mailing address and everything, and they'd mail you one. It was just too sketchy for me. I couldn't do it. If it's more readily available, maybe I should read it. That'd be interesting, right? Limited light. JFK stay alive for 105 years. Oh yeah, I know. I think what you're referring to is probably the QAnon conspiracy theories about John F. Kennedy being president right now. They really do believe this. They think that John F. Kennedy is the president or the vice president to Trump's president behind the scenes secretly. But he'd be 105 years old right now if that were true. But they don't care. Logic doesn't matter. Reason doesn't matter. All that matters is their conspiracies are true and you're lying to them. That's it. It's just delusional thinking, straight up. City Rail Dude, even if the election was rigged, God can't interfere with people's free will ability to rig elections. Yeah, that's an interesting point, too. Interesting point. I don't know, it just blows my mind, dude. The whole thing, just everything about their belief system and how Trump's been integrated into it is absolutely mind-blowing to me. They believe that God is pulling the strings behind the scenes and making things happen the way that he wants them to happen. But Joe Biden is so powerful that he can override prophecy from God. It's just weird, dude. Just weird. Steve Hawkins, I am so incredibly depressed by this. Oh, don't be too depressed. Look at it and be entertained by it. I mean, if things are going to go downhill, we may as well get a couple of chuckles out of it, right? Don't let it get to you too much. Just do your best. Don't worry about the rest. Just laugh about it. And don't sweat the small stuff. I know that this is a dangerous sign for democracy and everything else, but just have a good laugh. Because if you don't laugh, you'll cry, right? That's the way I see it. Shadow the Hedgehog, I recently learned that the natives had more than 5 genders, and the Christians and Catholics tried erasing trans people from history. I'm upset now. Have a good night, though. I appreciate that. Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. Trans people have always been the target of disturbing levels of hate since the very beginning. I mean, I run a progressive community, I like to think, right? A lot of you guys are pretty progressive for the most part. And I released a pro-trans video, I don't know, a month ago or something. It got fewer likes, fewer views, and more unsubs on it than any video I've released in I don't know how long. I mean, I'm happy I released it, and I would have done it again. Those people, if they have a problem with the trans community, then I'm okay with them leaving. That's fine. But it's an indication of where the country is right now, especially on trans issues. It's disturbing stuff, man. Anyway. All right, I'll tell you what, I'm going to move over to Twitch fully. I'm streaming currently at this moment, and I have a whole bunch of viewers. Welcome, guys. I'm over on Twitch now. All right, I'm going to switch over to Twitch, so I'm going to end the stream here on YouTube. I'm going to run my outro. I will see you guys on Twitch in a second, okay, because I have more podcasts to go, got more stories to cover and stuff. So meet me over there. I'm going to run my outro now, and Twitch is going to see the outro too. So just bear with me if you're on Twitch. I'll be right back, okay? All right, have a good night, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. See you in a second on Twitch. If you like what I do and you want to make sure I can continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, you can support me on Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. I sell all kinds of shirts and stickers and stuff on there. Second, you can support me by checking out my Etsy store. I sell 3D printed stands for every system, from the original Nintendo to the Xbox One. And finally, if you want to support me in other ways, you can check me out on my other channels. I have the podcast channel, which is where I talk about whatever's on my mind. Politics, social issues, whatever. You can also find it everywhere podcasts can be found. Or you can check out the videos on my main channel, where I focus on destructive cults. As it is with most channels these days, I rely on the support of viewers like you to keep my channel alive, so sharing my work is extremely helpful. Anyways, check me out in all those places if you haven't already. Thanks for listening, guys.